Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Michael Tsarouhas, or Mikey, as you know me in gaming on Steam. I'm the community manager, one of the voice actors for New World Interactive. Thank you for coming out to our live stream today. We apologize for the confusion about the Twitch channel name. Twitch actually just got through to us and changed our channel name to twitch.tv/newworld because, you know, we're going to be having a lot more games to broadcast soon, so that was a request we put into them, and they fulfilled it sooner than we requested. Please let me know if any of the volume levels are too loud or anything, or if anything starts to stutter. But yes, let's just get right into it. I'm sat here today with Jeremy Blum, the CEO and game director of New World Interactive. Jeremy, how are you today?
Pretty good. How you doing, Mikey?
I'm doing well. And today we're going to be focusing on answering your questions. Some of you might have seen the blog post that we put up online yesterday, I think it was, where we're talking about
2 days ago.
2 days ago. 2 days ago. Thank you, Jeremy. He's in charge of everything. He's way ahead of me. And we're talking about Day of Infamy. We're talking about Insurgency and Insurgency Sandstorm and competitive. And we just wanted to take this opportunity to actually just have a live stream, sit down, have a chat, have a drink, and basically answer any questions that you guys had following all that stuff. So we're looking at the chat right now. We're ready for your questions. And please just go right ahead and ask away. And while we wait for you guys to put your questions in, Jeremy, let me just ask you to introduce yourself for people who aren't familiar with you or the stuff that you've worked on.
Sure. So my name's Jeremy Blum. I'm the founder and game director of New World Interactive. So obviously, so far, the only commercial game that I've released is Insurgency. Prior to working on Insurgency, I was involved in the modding community for a while. I started out actually as the original founder of the Red Orchestra mod project, back way before it sort of took off, if you will. I sort of built that team and put it together way back when on Unreal. And I guess that sort of brings us back to World War II now. You know,
yeah, it really does.
It's sort of like finishing what I started a little bit when I was a lot younger. But after Red Orchestra, I worked on Insurgency mod for Half-Life 2. And we released that for free. Did pretty well, and later decided to commercialize it. And so those are like the three main projects that I've been involved with, and now we have a couple of projects sort of in the works. So it's
Definitely.
exciting, yeah.
And it's interesting what you say about Red Orchestra because it was like people will play Insurgency and they're like, oh, this feels just like Red Orchestra, and it's like, well, yeah, because the guy who founded it. And okay, so we've got our first question here.
One.
That one right there. Yep.
Is DOI going to be pay to play, and if it is, how much? So yeah, it's going to be a one-time price of $20. And the way we see it, it's DOI is a really awesome game. It's basically like what Insurgency should have been when it launched, in our opinion, in terms of like the overall quality of the gameplay and the polish that's going to be in it when it's shipped. Like Insurgency, we feel like it now is worth $20. You know, it may not have been worth $20 when we shipped it originally, and that's the reason why we went with the $15 price point. But the amount of work and improvement that we put into the platform since launch has, in our opinion, increased the value of our platform, if you will. And that's sort of what we're selling in a way is our platform, like our shooter experience on Source Engine, which we've established with Insurgency and expanded upon with Insurgency. But now we're sort of bringing it to like a new level with DOI.
I think that you guys will be really impressed with a lot of the content that we have in DOI already. It's even though it's just in closed alpha, there's a lot of cool stuff. We have entirely new mechanics like the artillery, the radio system through which you chat to other players. If they're locally, it's just local, but if you have radio, you talk to guys on radio, and you can speak on other players' radios, like on their backs. And
yeah, the radio is also a pretty cool mechanic because you could also speed up capturing with the radio as well.
Also
there's
true.
A lot of like cool gameplay mechanics that we're toying around with, and in co-op there's all new spawn systems in place, objective-based dynamic spawn systems that are way more advanced than the spawn system that we use in Insurgency, and the AI we sort of started from scratch, and we have a new cover system for the AI, where they actually utilize cover. They deploy their machine guns on defense positions and fortify positions very well.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just doing some earlier. Maybe actually you could talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you've been doing recently.
Yeah, I mean, I've been actually working on the spawn system, so like writing the code for that and getting it in, because really we want this ability to be able to dynamically shift where people spawn throughout the map, depending on objectives and what's going on in the specific mode. And the way our old system was built was it was sort of based around just spawning people in random places on the map that are out of sight dynamically. And that works really well for insurgency modes like survival and conquer, but it doesn't really work so well for like progressive frontline type modes like we have in Day of Infamy. And yeah, I mean, that's sort of the main thing. The other thing too is the way that we did that spawn system. It was sort of expensive because it did a lot of line of sight checks constantly. While we don't really need to necessarily do that in this system, it's a little bit more like the multiplayer system,
right.
But it's all done through scripts. So we don't have to like go into the map and like recompile the map, which takes ages with Source Engine. So we don't have to recompile the map every time that we want to just like relocate where the players spawn and stuff like that. So I mean, that's one of the things I've been working on recently. But I've been very involved in the level design of Day of Infamy, and this is one of the aspects of Day of Infamy that I think is sort of I'm very proud of personally. Like, I'm proud of us, I'm proud of our team for what we've accomplished, because I think that level design is such a critical part of like an FPS experience, especially like a close quarters FPS like Insurgency and Day of Infamy are. You know, the level design is so significantly important. And we have some awesome maps in DOI, like really well thought out, really good gameplay, like some of the best maps that I think our team has ever made. And like really diverse environments and just strong, like good fun, you know?
Yeah.
So,
really
I'm excited about that.
The modes work with them. They look really good. They're going to look better, you know? And the maps of which we're speaking are the ones that you're familiar with already from the mod, Dog Red and Bastogne. But also we have Reichswald, which takes place in the German forest. Sicily, which is, you know, the invasion of Sicily and Italy. We have Comacchio and Catania, which are both Italian maps, and they're inspired by original DoD layouts. And another note I wanted to say about the spawn system, actually, before I forget, is it's also very moddable. The way that you can move the spawn systems around, it's just done through a script. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's done through the map script. So
right.
So all you do is just like plug in a different value, and then they spawn in a different place.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just reload the map. So it's a much easier system to work with. Gives a lot more flexibility to us to create this like sort of dynamically flowing gameplay.
Right, exactly.
Co-op, yeah.
And co-op, also worth noting, is like the AI is like ground up, like very new. Like there have been a lot of changes to the AI that we're doing, and it's going to be really sweet. By the way, guys, if we missed your question, just feel free to throw it back into the chat. Obviously, there's a lot of text going down, so just feel free to put it back in. We do have our eyes on it, so feel free.
Will Day of Infamy release in early or late July? I would say. Did you pause it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I would say I can't give you guys a like definite answer on that. Part of the reason why we're saying July is because we sort of want the flexibility to release when in July it makes sense. We want to get the game into your hands as soon as possible. We also want to make sure that it's fleshed out and playing pretty well.
Right, and it is early access. It will be an early access launch. Everything's not going to be perfect, as you know, we know, because that's how early access is, and it's helped improve Insurgency so much, and it's going to help improve DOI so much. And it'll be at some point in July, but we still want to get it to a point like where it fits pretty well. Already, we have a closed alpha right now. It already plays pretty well, but there's still some stuff broken, and we don't want to make any specific promises, you know. But our goal right now is in July, and we do have a little bit of leeway within that month, fortunately.
Yeah, so some more questions here. Is Steam Workshop support plan for Insurgency Sandstorm? Yes. All of our games that we ever make will support Workshop, I would say.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah, we knew.
Let's see what else here. In the blog post, you said that there will be split screen for Sandstorm on console, no plans for PC. That's not necessarily true. I mean, we may do split screen for PC as well. It's actually been something that surprisingly a lot of people have asked about.
Yeah, I was
and
surprised by it
there
too,
was a
honestly.
very interesting Polygon article that I read about this, talking about a game that did split screen co-op PC, where you could just see, you know, your buddy that you're playing with on your screen play. And I think it's a very interesting concept. I'm definitely not opposed to it. And if we do it for console, there's no reason why we couldn't also support it for PC. So I won't say yes to PC split screen, but it's definitely not no. It's something that we'll explore.
Right, because there's an interest for it, you know, and we're going to already do it for console, as you said.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of people are wondering about, Jake here asks about Insurgency source matchmaking and why we can't do matchmaking properly and why we have to make it browser-based. So I'm going to elaborate a little bit more about this. So the main thing is that, like, we want to do competitive in our games going forward. It's been a real challenge trying to get competitive into Insurgency years after it was released, because our community wants it, obviously, and we tried very hard to commit to that. But really what we want to do is build it properly into our games going forward. Like, that is the real opportunity that we have going forward, because we're building this incredible new version of Insurgency, Sandstorm, and we're building DOI, which is going to come out pretty soon. And these both seem like great opportunities for us to have a very well done, very well thought out, very well planned out, and integrated competitive matchmaking system. So to us, like that, to us, the future of that is with this new UI middleware that we recently got called Coherent. It's HTML5 based, and it allows us to very quickly iterate on menus in the game. And basically, we want to do all of our new menus through Coherent. And it doesn't really make sense for us to do double the amount of UI work to get a VGUI version of the competitive matchmaking in. It makes a lot more sense to do something quick with HTML-based, similar to Coherent, but not actually using Coherent's framework. And that's sort of what we're doing, is we're going to have an in-game browser, web browser that, you know, points you to our external website that handles the matchmaking. And you will be able to still matchmake through the game using this web browser. But you'll also be able to, if you want, just like open the website in Google Chrome or whatever your browser is, and hang out with your friends in there while you wait to matchmake with.
Check your stats and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's actually interesting because Nick Gollin, the guy on our team working on this, like he sort of got into this initially with his mod for Insurgency called SOCOM. And what he found actually is that his community really enjoyed the external browser. Like, they really actually liked sort of matchmaking into games from out, like not necessarily in the in-game browser, but in the website browser. So it's pretty interesting that this system will support both.
Right, exactly.
And it's not the end result that we intend for our future games. Like, we're trying to build that up now from the ground up, and not try and like double, triple our workload. So, next
Let's see if there's more questions.
20 euros in Europe for Day of Infamy. No, it's gonna be 20 US dollars. So the euro cost will probably be a couple euros less than 20, maybe 18 euros or something like that. Don't quote me on that. We're gonna keep evaluating that, but I definitely don't think that that it should be the same amount of euros as it is dollars.
There's I mean, it depends on Steam. Like, there was a thing that they did. I don't remember exactly what, but it depends on like Steam pricing and other stuff too.
Sorry?
There was something that, some sort of pay thing, but I think it was done a while ago. It might be irrelevant now. But basically, like, we'll have more details on that later.
Linux support for Sandstorm. Yes, that is planned. And Linux support is also planned for DOI. However, it will not be supported in the initial early access release because we're using, as I mentioned earlier, we're using Coherent, and Coherent doesn't support 32-bit Linux yet, and that is currently what we use for Source Engine, is 32-bit Linux. So, but the folks at Coherent have told us that they're working on it. So we hope to have Linux support for DOI later this year, hopefully, ideally before the full release of the game. why did you go with the Source engine rather than Unity or Unreal for Day of Infamy? You know, it's so funny. So many people are like, why did you use Source for this game?
Other people love Source. I've seen just as many people say, "Oh, good, like Source runs well and it's dependable and they have experience with it. That's fine." But it is a good question. Like,
well, it's a good question, especially because we've seen it pop up so much.
Yeah.
I could absolutely answer this question. So we've spent the past like 3 or 4 years building a shooter platform with Source Engine. You know, it's going to take us a lot longer to build our UE4 platform that we're using for Sandstorm to get to the same level of quality and sort of be optimized and fully functional with all the features that we want.
Get that proficient, get to the level of proficiency with
of course.
Unreal.
And it's incredible how much work it takes to build a game from scratch versus an expansion project, which is essentially what DOI is, where we are building off of Insurgency. To us, it was sort of a no-brainer working with Source Engine because we had this really solid base with Insurgency to build off of and expand upon pretty significantly. And the way we see it is like we really want to go next gen. You know, we want to bring you guys games that are sort of like seen alongside all these other bigger studio games that come out at that higher level of quality. But it's going to take us a little bit to get there. You know, we're not a really big team like a lot of these guys that we'd be competing with. It's going to take us a little bit to build that platform, our shooter platform on UE4, and it's going to be with Sandstorm. So Sandstorm will be our debut of like a next gen experience. You know, we're putting a lot into it to make it look incredible, to add like cinematic aspects to it that our games haven't had previously, motion capture, all these things that we're trying to do to sort of expand our capabilities as a company. But it's going to take us a little bit to get there, so why not give you guys an awesome game, you know, despite the fact that it's older technology, sooner than that in the near term to tide you guys over until Sandstorm comes out. You know, maybe if DOI is very well received and people really dig it, like we could port that over to our Unreal platform later after it's established with Sandstorm. You know, I'm not committing to that by any means. As I said, it depends on demand. So if people really love DOI and want to see it on UE4, then, you know, maybe we would use our UE4 platform that we established with Sandstorm to build on that.
It also had to do with the relationship that we had with Valve and their approval in getting us the engine, you know. And when we heard that the Day of Defeat guys like really excited by the mod, you know, like it was just further validating that people wanted to have a World War II shooter, you know, and it made sense to make it on Source and make it now, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And plus, I think there's a certain thing about like the feel and the scale of Source Engine that's very, very distinct and sort of in demand right now, like a real in-your-face, gritty World War II experience. Yeah. Like obviously, Red Orchestra's got the sort of larger scale vehicular combat sort of nailed down, but like nobody's really done a really good I don't want to say realistic, because we don't use realistic to describe our gameplay, but like a really intense, gritty, close quarters, hardcore, highly lethal, like almost scary World War II World War II
It gets scary, dude.
Like nobody that's not out right now. Like there may be a couple people that might be planning that further down the line, but like that doesn't exist right now. But it does exist with Day of Infamy. It already exists with Day of Infamy. Like we shit ourselves on the servers all the time when artillery is coming our way and
yelling
stuff.
Yelling around the office and everything. It's good. Like you'll see. Like we have a closed alpha now, and for those of you who have keys, you can see. But I think you'll be really impressed. It's funny just. The increasing the pace of spawns and having all these special PvP modes that are more like, well, one of my friends put it this way: Insurgency is kind of like operations, you know, security operations, protect this guy, have a firefight, secure the area. But like Day of Infamy is more like war, you know, like there's way more people spawning, there's way more waves. There's the frontline mode where it's always moving, and it's just much more intense, and there's more going on, like generally speaking. And you really feel that, and we have mechanics that reinforce that, like the radio, like the artillery, and like the, you know, worse weaponry and the lack of optics and stuff, you know, like it all comes together really in subtle ways and in explicit ways too, to make a faster paced war experience.
Yeah, and speaking of like the difference in gameplay, like I think our game modes themselves sort of cater to that, in the sense that there's entirely new game modes in the game. We currently have, I think, 5 fully implemented game modes. 3 of them are PvP multiplayer, and then two of them are co-op, and by the way, co-op and single player. So we're working on the single player side as well with this game, which we didn't really touch much on with Insurgency. But basically, like, of these 5 modes, 4 of them are completely new. Like not even similar or deviated from Insurgency modes. Like they're completely new. Frontline, Liberation, Entrenchment, and Stronghold are all completely new experiences. You can't experience something like that with Insurgency.
Right.
The only mode that's reminiscent to Insurgency in DOI is Offensive, which is similar to Push. But it's a little bit larger scale, a little bit more reinforcements and more time.
You guys might remember Offensive from It was called Invasion in the mod, and now we changed its name to Offensive.
Well, it's not exactly the same.
Right, and we made other tweaks
because
as well, yes.
It's sort of like in between what Invasion and Push were.
Okay.
Because Invasion was just like a lot, like almost
It was a lot of
excessive
guys.
amount of waves.
It felt like Omaha.
Yeah, but it didn't need to have so many, And Push also felt very slow in comparison. For World War II, anyway. So Offensive is sort of like the nice medium between Push and Invasion.
And maybe it would be good to just give a summary of the other modes as well, real quick, if you want to.
Sure. So
there's 5 modes. That was Offensive. That's one of the 3 PvP ones. What are the other 2 PvP ones?
So the other 2 PvP ones are Liberation and Frontline. Liberation is a very cool mode, sort of loosely inspired by like DoD style gameplay, but also sort of integrating some of our like mechanics that we've established with Firefight in Insurgency. There's 3 active objectives on the map. Like there's one that's closer to your team, there's one that's sort of equidistant between both teams, and there's one that's further away. And basically, like, when you capture a point, you get more waves. Depending on which point you capture. So if you capture the point closest to your team, you'll get 1 wave. If you capture the middle point, you get 2, and if you capture the far point, you get 3. So it sort of encourages people to like flank around and try and like stealthily, take the further point to get their team more waves and ultimately win. Or a strategy might be to hold the front line, to hold that middle point and make sure that the enemy doesn't sneak by you and sort of secure the map that way. But there's a lot of different strategies that go into it. It's a very interesting mode in that sense that it unlocks a lot of different creative strategy. And I think it's going to turn into a very good competitive mode. And so I think we're going to sort of base our competitive matchmaking and competitive ranking system with the Liberation mode in DOI. And then Frontline is another public sort of casual game mode that is basically large-scale push-pull frontline action. So there's the middle of the map that you're fighting over, and then whichever team takes the middle pushes further in, and then the team that gets pushed back has the opportunity to try and come back.
Yeah.
But they may not. They may get pushed further back. It's a very unique experience with our mechanics and our features with artillery and all of that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's very intense. It's kind of like it kind of reminds playing Bastogne Frontline is awesome. It kind of reminds me of like paintball, like a really long match where everybody's like going forward and backward, and it actually feels like there's a front line in the woods, And then the other mode would be Offensive, which is the one that we described, and then there's 2 cooperative modes, Stronghold and Entrenchment. And in Entrenchment, you're defending 2 different points from being captured by the enemy, and then once they capture them, you have to fall back and you defend other points, and you can spawn in your team by basically when a certain percentage, I don't know what the percentage is right now.
It's like 40%.
When 40% of your guys die, then you run back to a point, which will be just, there'll be a circle.
It's a regroup point.
It's a regroup point, yeah. And you get there, and then you spawn your teammates, and then they can run back and help you defend that, further up point or whatever the other point is.
Yeah, it's I guess the most similar to Insurgency mode it would be is like Outpost, but it's completely different because you
much
kind of
more mobile.
It's much more mobile, and there's multiple points to defend, and you can get pushed back, and yeah, it's a very different experience.
Yeah.
But it is defensive though, similar to Outpost.
You can see the influence in some of these modes, like Liberation with Firefight and stuff, but like they feel very different, especially with Outpost. Like Outpost is very static. You're just there, the whole time, and it doesn't even end, but you can win Entrenchment, you can win Stronghold. Stronghold's the offensive one, which I wouldn't even liken to Checkpoint really, because you're going after these different points and slowly pushing up, and there's multiple objectives active at once, and it's cool to see how it dynamically plays out, where like it makes sense to go here or here.
Yeah, it's sort of both of the modes. I mean, especially Stronghold, it's sort of like a mix, but it's sort of like it's the best of both Checkpoint and Conquer in a way.
Yeah,
because
I can see
Conquer was this very this mode where you can choose whichever objective you want. More free flowing, less linear, and Checkpoint was this linear progression through one objective at a time.
Right.
Stronghold, there's always two objectives that are active, so you can kind of pick which one to attack. So if A and B are active and your team takes B, then actually C unlocks. So then you can attack A and C. And you don't necessarily have to attack A first. You could attack C, and then A and D would be the active objective. So it's sort of very dynamic, and not every round plays the same over and over.
Right.
It's very non-repetitive.
Cool. Yeah, it is. I like that. It's sort of like in between Conquer and Checkpoint, with still linear, but also has that dynamic element. And how many you spawn upon an objective capture? Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to some more questions. Again, guys, if we missed your question, feel free to throw it back up in the chat. Don't spam it or anything, but just throw that question on up there.
Someone's asking for new screenshots and videos from Sandstorm. I'll just say that they're not going to be coming so soon because we're working on the sort of technical aspects of the game right now, like really trying to build the framework for everything that we want to make, and that's not so much art polish, which is something that people are going to judge very critically when they see screenshots and videos. So we're more trying to lay the framework for all the cool things that we want to do now.
And we want to show those cool things, but it's just not time yet. We want to show them and they look great, and they look really good. And we gotta lay out the groundwork. We gotta do a lot of work. But when we show you guys some stuff, it'll look really cool. So don't worry. What you've seen already, the Source UE4 comparison shots. I don't know if somebody wants to link that article that we had.
And it's worth noting, though, that the game is going to look even better than that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, one thing that we've changed recently, for those who read the blog would know, is that we sort of shifted our level design focus and direction for Sandstorm. Instead of, like, what we were originally doing is we were actually very, very originally, we were going to do a port of Insurgency to UE4 and just release it on console and get it out as quickly as we could. That was the original plan, and later we decided, okay, like let's release for PC too, because they would be really disappointed if we didn't release a PC version. So then we expanded our features and our plans when we decided that, but we didn't entirely change our level design direction immediately in the wake of that decision. So we were essentially recreating a lot of stuff, porting a lot of stuff from Source and improving it in UE4. But recently we instead decided like we're gonna make everything kind of from scratch. Like we're gonna base like the inspiration on Insurgency. There's gonna be a lot of layouts and designs in the game that are like, oh, this was an Insurgency.
Yeah,
that's
playing
awesome.
Ministry right now.
Yeah,
this is District Firefight.
Well, I mean, yes, to a certain extent. Like Ministry,
Right.
for instance, I don't love that example because, like Ministry, for instance, like we may change the scale a little bit to make it seem more realistic. Because I think one of the map's weaknesses is it just doesn't feel very real. Like it doesn't feel like a real Ministry. But I think that the gameplay is fantastic, and so we would bring that gameplay back, but make the map feel more realistic.
Yeah, it's safe to say there's going to be a lot of improvements to those maps, but it's going to feel like Insurgency.
Yeah, but they'll be part of much bigger maps.
Right,
So that's sort of the big change is like we're going to make much bigger maps, and we're not going to be building off of this BSP blockiness and like adding shells on top of it. Like we're not going to do that anymore.
Blocky, yeah.
We're basically going to like create a modular level system from scratch that's going to allow us to do levels at the same quality that a lot of these higher quality games do them.
Right.
And so we're excited about that, and also about having like vehicles in the game and like roads that you could drive all the way through a map. Sort of establishing these principles in the game and like implementing vehicles, like driving around and prototyping sort of a convoy type experience, which is something that we're experimenting with Sandstorm. Multiplayer and co-op and single player, like the whole aspect of a convoy and of it potentially being ambushed and all that is something that we are trying to prototype in the game and make it feel good and sort of base some gameplay around that.
Make use of those RPGs, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It'll be like a real ambush. Ooh.
Yeah. So these are the sorts of things that we're working on now with Sandstorm, is sort of laying that foundation, and also on the competitive side, since we, I don't want to say failed you with Insurgency, but we fell short of your expectations with Insurgency's competitive. With Sandstorm, we don't want to sort of fall into that same trap. So from the very beginning, we're designing the game with competitive in mind. And part of that actually has to do with DOI, because the coherent menus that are going to be in Sandstorm are going to be fluid between DOI and Sandstorm. Like, we could use the same menus in DOI that we use in Sandstorm.
And that's despite the difference in engines, which
exactly,
is dramatic.
exactly. Like,
we can have that same UI.
Exactly, we can have the same UI. So we're essentially going to use DOI as a way to prototype our matchmaking and competitive features for our platform, and we're going to bring those over to Sandstorm afterwards, and obviously expand upon them as well.
Right. Stop looking directly at me.
So somebody's asking about the transport vehicles in Sandstorm. So what we're not going to have are like tanks, like armored vehicles that you could, like, this isn't going to be Battlefield. This isn't going to be Red Orchestra. This isn't going to be a large scale massive environment game, spread out game. This is going to still be that close quarters, gritty Insurgency feel, where like the firefights are still going to take place in the same ranges, and so we want to avoid the whole like vehicular gameplay thing, where vehicles become a very important aspect of gameplay. The way we're going to implement vehicles is purely through transportation, like infantry transportation, and that does not exclude like mounted turrets and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
So there will be support for, like, being in a Humvee with your buddies and one guy being mounting the turret on the gun on top. Yeah. And maybe everybody else that's not driving could be like have their guns like pointing them out the windows and stuff like that.
Right, you could lean out, but maybe not the driver. The driver is busy driving, so we got a lot of stuff that we want to test and we want to see. But is there anything else you can share about the vehicles though? Because it is something a lot of people ask me.
Well, they're not going to be in third person. We decided they're going to be strictly first person, so we're not going to like pull you out of your immersion in that sense.
Right.
The other thing is we've been talking a bit about helicopters. Not like drivable helicopters, but like as like helicopter insertions, or exfils, nothing like, we don't want to let people drive a helicopter because the maps aren't going to be that big. They're going to be big, but they're not going to be that big, Right.
Yeah. And then when you have drivable helicopters, that's just a whole other can of worms, as far as the balance of those maps goes. All these vehicles are going to enhance the infantry combat that Insurgency already has, as will this change in map size and stuff. We still have what works for us. We have our principles as far as like gameplay goes, and we don't want to, we're not tearing those down, Well, Mikey, main sound actor in Sandstorm. We're going to get a variety of voiceover talent for Sandstorm and for DOI. Already we have really talented actors in Day of Infamy, and we're going to get more. We have George Exley doing, or Tsarouhas as he's known. You might have seen him in the previous stream when he was playing. He is voicing the Commonwealth. He's doing the Scottish leader and the British subordinate. And we have Matt Swanson. I think his handle is Professor Fate. He is going to be doing the American subordinate, and he's already in the game as well, just like George. In a limited capacity, we don't have all the VO in. It's going to be a process, throughout early access and stuff. We're going to be improving on it and adding more. And I'm doing the voice of the American leader and the American artillery guy. And George is doing the artillery guy too. George is really talented, so he's 3 people.
Nice. So back to questions?
Yes.
Okay, because they're all getting kind of pushed up. So
again, like we're kind of going down the backlog right now. So
no, we're a little further back, but we're gonna try and get it all.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So
I'll make this adjustment here.
Will the alpha work on Mac at any point during alpha? So yes, it definitely will. Right now it's broken on Mac, and we apologize about that for those who have a key and use Mac.
And what had you said about Linux?
Well, I already said that Linux isn't going to be supported till later this year for DOI. So I just wanted to let the Mac users know that we are aware that the game is not running on Mac, and we will be addressing that as soon as we can. Hopefully this week, actually.
Someone says, you said Sandstorm
already
would have
talked
support.
about that.
Yeah, there will be mounted turrets on vehicles.
Single player campaign.
We got to do a campaign, dude. We got to try and have a campaign.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if they're asking about DOI or Sandstorm in this, but maybe DOI because we were talking about single player. So DOI, we may do some sort of like, sequential storytelling type thing with DOI, but it'll be pretty simple. Like it's not going to be as elaborate as the campaign will be in Sandstorm, which is going to be like a real campaign.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be different, but it is something we're experimenting with.
Yeah. And the other cool thing about the Sandstorm campaign, which was mentioned in the blog post for any of you guys who didn't read it, is that we're going to be sort of designing the whole thing to work well with 4-player co-op. So you'll be able to play through the whole campaign with your friends online or split screen. All right, let's see. Will you improve the player animations? That's a really good question. So we just got motion capture technology here at our studio.
It's great.
So even though you don't have these like awesome new animations in the game quite yet with DOI, we will replace the DOI animations with mocap animations before full release. And all of our future games will have higher quality animation than what you saw in Insurgency, and also higher quality character art as well, which we're trying to sort of prove with Day of Infamy. I'm not sure if any of you guys saw the British character in my blog post, but that's a good example of like how our character art quality is improving.
It's going to look even better on UE4, just by nature of the engine as well. So as well as all of the visuals, really. Co-op is my fave. Yeah. I think everybody's going to be very happy with Day of Infamy co-op. We're still working some stuff out now, but this is going to be good.
Let's see. "64-player servers in DOI, doubtful. We're going to experiment with more than 32 though. So we're going to try 48. And if that's too much, we're going to tone it down to like 36 or something. But we are going to experiment with higher player count servers with DOI.
Yeah, it could break the bank in terms of gameplay and optimization.
Yeah, it might just be too much chaos for how
just
small the environments are.
I know it's the Second World War, but come on, yeah.
Well, I think we're going to allow server operators to do whatever the hell they want. So you might see a 64-player server in the browser, but that's not officially supported.
Yeah, because again, we're not sure. We'll try it. We're going to experiment with it.
So for Sandstorm media, like screenshots, videos and stuff, I think maybe later in the year you could expect to start to see some stuff surface, just to give you guys some sort of expectation, manage your expectations. Gives us sort of a couple of months to wrap up a lot of this initial groundwork stuff we're working on, and then make it look nicer. But no promises there either. I don't like to promise things as a game developer.
Yeah, things change, and as far as like media goes, like it's really important to us that we show you guys good stuff, and we want to wait until we have really good stuff.
So one guy keeps asking over and over, will you be able to check how much ammo is in your current magazine, either Day of Infamy or Insurgency Sandstorm? So I won't say yes to that. I think part of the interesting thing about the way our weapon system works is like you have to keep track of how much ammo you have. I know that there is demand for this feature, but it's not something that I personally see as super necessary. If anything, an extra button. Yeah, I know that it's something that we even as a team disagree on. Some people on our team like the idea, some people don't. So it's something that we'll like continue to feel out whether it's really necessary. Personally, I think that it's not That's just my personal opinion.
I've been asked that a lot, and it makes sense to me why it comes up. And yeah, like Jeremy said, we've chatted about it before. It's a matter of making it work with our very minimal HUD, and having it make sense and not be like too gamey, you know. But it's cool already, like what we have, where you know you just got to keep track. You just got to remember.
Will there be weather effects like a sandstorm in Insurgency Sandstorm? Yeah, I think so. That's planned. Yeah, we were talking about dynamic sandstorm, hopefully effect that can sort of come up when we want it to, and also different sort of levels of it. So it could either be like really intense, or it could be like just like dusty, you know, windy. Sort of atmospheric effect, or it could be somewhere in the middle. Like it would just be like a float value. Like 1.0 would be super crazy, thick, dense sandstorm, and then 0.1 would be what I just described after that. And then other weather as well. Obviously, in the Middle East, it doesn't rain that much, but we might still have rain because it might rain every once in a while.
You could have oil rain, like in Jarhead. And it rained oil, and it was horribly scary experience.
Yeah, but yeah, to answer that question, we do want to have some sort of dynamic weather effect in Sandstorm. Let's see. I'm just trying to get all the questions. Somebody keeps asking, will we use the same sound guy and weapons animator for Sandstorm that we had in Source Insurgency? Yes. The team is still intact. Most of the team, yeah, pretty much almost everybody. Let's see. We don't record them in real life, but many of us have shot a lot of these weapons in real life, including myself. So I give feedback to our audio guy, Mark, and he's pretty good at what he does. Like, part of the thing about guns in video games is like I don't think they necessarily should sound exactly like they sound in real life. I think they each needs to sound different and distinct, and they all need to sound like powerful and make sense for that particular weapon as well. So that's a more philosophical thing about audio direction in shooters.
It has to fit for the game.
I don't believe in like the Hollywood sort of audio. I think that Insurgency proves that. They're like very intense, boomy, gritty gunshots.
We use that word a lot, but it's true. It's gritty, One of the things I really like, and I keep saying this just because I think it's the perfect comparison, during one of our Sandstorm playtests, we already have like audio we're working into the game that's going to be better than Insurgency because we're on UE4, we can do cool new stuff. And we have, I fired an M16 inside a room, and I was so surprised by how cool it sounded, I gasped out loud. And I was like, because it sounded like, and this is the comparison, again, in my head that I drew, like it was like I was watching a live leak video of like U.S. Marines going through a building. It was just this thunderous boom, boom of every like 5.56 shot, and it sounded gritty and it sounded real, you could say, quote unquote, but it was really resonant, and like, I'm really excited to see where like all of the weapon sounds go, because there's going to be a difference now when you're inside. Like it'll sound distinctly different.
The audio in Sandstorm in general is going to sound pretty incredible. I mean, we use a new system called Wise, new audio middleware, which is sort of a little bit enhanced over what you could do with the default UE4 audio system.
Definitely.
And it's already Mark has already like done some really cool stuff with that. So it's pretty exciting to see how that's going to turn out. Somebody here is asking about aesthetic unlocks in Sandstorm. What is that about? Just unlocking skins and that's it, right? I really don't want this kind of game mechanic which breaks game immersion of teamwork gameplay, which can cause advantage in other players. No, it's not going to cause advantage in other players. I think that in general, in games in general, people just like to look cool and different. Unique.
Yeah, and have some incentive.
Have some personality to your character, if you will.
Right, and have incentive to keep playing and unlocking stuff.
Yeah, that too. And I don't believe in gameplay unlocks, like to make yourself better, whether it's, even if it's aesthetic. You shouldn't have an aesthetic thing that makes you more camouflaged than everybody else. You shouldn't get like a weapon that nobody else could get because you're better than everybody else. Like I think that Insurgency proves that we don't believe in those sorts of mechanics. What we're talking about with Sandstorm is more of just just if anything, it reinforces the teamwork and the communication aspect of the game, because it's going to be like capturing objectives and doing these teamwork-oriented sort of gameplay mechanics that are going to be able to unlock you these aesthetics in the game. It's not just going to be like kills and stuff like that. So if you're like the communicator and team player that you're encouraged to be in Insurgency, like you're going to get rewarded for it instead of not getting rewarded for it. Like you're going to get like, you know, an interesting new, like, you know, scarf or something, or like a, you know, sunglass, like a cool sunglasses, or
it's
not
not
special
gonna,
gloves or something like
right.
that. Like it's not gonna be silly. Like
we're not gonna have like, you know, pink fedoras, you know, and like crazy like teal colored guns, AKs, like
we're gonna use like real reference. We're gonna like see like what people
it's gonna
actually
make sense,
wear,
basically.
in these environments. We're not just gonna make stuff up and have it seem inappropriate.
It's not gonna be gaudy or tacky. It's gonna make sense, basically.
Yeah.
I understand why people kind of balk at that, but like keep in mind what our themes are, you know, when we're talking about aesthetic unlocks, not gameplay ones. It's really important that we establish that and make sure we're on the same page in regards to that.
Yeah, so somebody's asking if we've drawn any experience from other games or movies for Day of Infamy. I think the main thing that I'll say is there's a lot of Day of Defeat inspiration in this game, and we're very open about that. Like we're very clear about that. Like when we first started this as a mod for Insurgency, we were very clear that this was Day of Defeat inspired. I think the way some of us feel here is like a lot of us grew up on Day of Defeat when it was a mod for Half-Life, and when it went to Source, like Day of Defeat Source or whatever, it changed a lot. Like the gameplay changed, the pace changed, the maps were all different. There was something sort of left, sort of missing. I personally felt. With Day of Defeat Source. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was still a good game. But I think that the original direction of the Day of Defeat when it was for Half-Life 1, not on Source, was very different and a lot grittier, a lot more nostalgic, if you will. And that's sort of what this game is trying to be a continuation of. It's trying to be a continuation of what Day of Defeat originally was, not necessarily what it became. And I think that's another reason why there's a demand for this type of game, is because it did deviate course. It did change course to become something different, and it left something sort of out there, open for the taking, if you will, like that de facto, like gritty, close quarters World War II experience.
And I think it's fair to say it's also going to have its own flavor to it. You know, it's not like we're just trying to be Day of Defeat. You know?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is an entirely different game, but it's important to recognize that this is inspired. There is inspiration involved.
Right.
The name itself is very transparent.
Pretty
transparent about that. And you know, Valve has approved this. You know, and they've licensed Source to us again to do this. So it's not like we're just doing this on our own accord. You know, we kind of have their blessing to make this game. So that makes it even more exciting for us, honestly. So.
Yeah, someone's saying we're far behind in the chat. Yeah, there's a lot of questions that have been asked, so we're just going through them the best we can. Dinosaurs. Were there dinosaurs in Iraq?
That's a good question.
Might have been. Certainly not during the invasion, but maybe thousands and thousands of years before.
Somebody's asking, somebody said, good to see the Brits and Commonwealth represented in DOI. Will they make an appearance in INS/Sandstorm as well? Sandstorm will have some new factions appearing in the game. Yeah, I guess we probably shouldn't talk about that too much because it's sort of like exciting. Like
that question does provoke our answers, but we don't.
I want to tell you more, but I can't. I shouldn't. You know. So I'm not going to.
Just stick around and keep playing video games, and you'll eventually learn all this exciting new stuff.
Yeah. New damage system for Sandstorm. That's an interesting question. So, so we do want to improve the damage system compared to how it worked in Insurgency. Insurgency was a very like hitbox-oriented, health point-based system that sort of hacked in armor, if you will. I think that with Sandstorm, we're going to try and make armor more of like a properly proper system for armor.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's sort of like damage mitigation, basically.
Yes,
Right, okay.
like yes, exactly. So if you wore a light armor or heavy armor, it would reduce it would reduce damage on certain bones, on certain hitboxes on the body, and it kind of works. You know, like if you're wearing armor, you do take more bullets on your chest area than if you're not wearing armor. But it's not so advanced as it could be. It's sort of I don't want to say hacked together, but it's not the best implementation of armor. So that is an area that with Sandstorm we hope to improve the damage model a bit.
Right. Again, we have some really cool new capabilities with the engine, and we're experimenting. You know, we're doing some really interesting stuff.
Somebody asked if they can be a female in Sandstorm. So once again, I don't want to give away too much about the game, but I will say that there's a female in the story.
Quick, get on Reddit. Tell everybody.
So there will definitely be females in the game. They're probably not going to be like all over multiplayer and stuff. Like you're not going to have like a team of females, you know, 'cause that's not really realistic.
Right. It's true that like one thing to keep in mind is this is a game about the invasion of Iraq and then the things that followed afterward. And what we want to do, we want it to like make sense, and that's the same thing in regards to Insurgency. And up until December 2015, women couldn't be infantry in the United States military. Like, it wasn't allowed. And now that's changed, you know, just even recently, like not even a year ago. But it is something that we want to adhere to as far as like realism goes, you know.
Yeah, but there's also other ways that a female could end up on a battlefield in Iraq without necessarily being a frontline soldier.
It's true. There's like FETs, there's female engagement teams in the Marines. There's door gunners. There's truck drivers.
But I don't even just mean within the military branches. I mean even also outside of the military branches.
Oh, you want to, yeah. There are things that we can do, yes, and like you can take that little nugget of which we just spoke and you can put that somewhere. But basically, it's going to make sense.
Gameplay-wise, will there be an in-game voice chat system that's based on proximity? Everyone can hear you, enemy too, but the further you are, the fainter it becomes. So we already have that in Insurgency, but we plan on using better codecs and whatnot for voice over IP in UE4. So it should hopefully be even more improved version of the same thing.
And by better codecs and more improved, you mean just better audio quality?
Better quality, and like right now, like the VoIP in Insurgency kind of like, it's at like medium volume and then just cuts out.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't fade out very well, but hopefully we hope to sort of improve that.
Yeah.
I think aspect of it with Sandstorm. Let's see.
Sorry, just people being silly in the chat always makes me giggle.
Medics in Sandstorm, that is not currently planned. No.
Yeah, it's a departure from the kind of gameplay and the kinds of mechanics that we've established. Let me know when you want to do this.
Can we expect to see the new animation tech being used for the current Insurgency? I want to say maybe, not definitely. But when we put it into DOI, there is a chance that it might be easy to bring it to Insurgency. But honestly, like, yeah, I can't say for sure whether it will be. It will definitely be in Sandstorm, obviously. Let's see. I'm trying to find the next question. There's a lot of text.
Yeah. We're working through it.
"64 players and I'm out. Do not need another stupid game like Battlefield." Yeah. Yeah, that's another reason why we don't want to go over the top with the player counts. Like, we want to make sure.
Right, we're sticking to what we do best, you know.
And the scale of the maps and how everything plays.
What we want out of our gameplay, you know. We're not trying to be anybody else.
What is the idea of competitive on Sandstorm when getting bigger maps, vehicles, etc.? So we're gonna keep like Firefight is like the Insurgency competitive mode, so that's gonna stay in the game as a competitive mode at the same exact scale. So it's not gonna be like Firefight over a much bigger map with vehicles. It's gonna be the same mode that people are used to and have already established as this sort of go-to competitive Insurgency experience. And that goes with any other competitive modes that we introduce. We're not against experimenting with competitive modes that are larger scale or possibly even use vehicles, but that will require some investigation to see if that's something that is doable and appreciated by people.
Good word choice.
Yeah.
Investigation. I like that.
Investigation, yes. Wow, we're really far up.
Yeah, we are a little far up.
I'm gonna scroll faster.
We're gonna go through this.
60 FPS on PS4 and Xbox One. That is our goal because we want to have split screen as well. So our goal is 30 FPS on split screen and 60 FPS on full screen for consoles for Sandstorm.
Can you carry spaghetti in your pockets? Yes, we're working on a spaghetti mechanic. It's going to be in a tat. You've got light armor, heavy armor, and just spaghetti. And we're going to be able to represent it on the body. It's just going to be spilling out of your arm pockets and your chest pockets and your little molly pouches. Just lots of spaghetti in Sandstorm.
We like spaghetti.
Yeah. I had some spaghetti last night, actually. Well, noodles. I don't know if they're the same.
What version of Source does DOI use, and when can we see the map editor become available? So
Good question.
that is a good question.
That's from Sandstorm, one of our community level designers.
Because they both have interesting answers, I would say. Well, I'll touch on the editor one first. As soon as early access comes out, we are going to make the editor available, so people can start to make maps and mods for DOI like once early access comes out, well before the final release. And part of that is because we want to include community-made maps in the official release of the game. So this is a slightly unconventional approach to making games, but we really are excited about a lot of the maps that have already been started by the DOI community. And even if a community member may not be able to take a map to completion, a lot of our community members have shown this incredible ability to create very cool ideas that could be built off of and could eventually become a sort of capable of being included in an official release. And we're probably going to do some contests as well associated with this, like a map contest to encourage and talented level designers from other communities to come and make some maps for DOI.
It's worth mentioning that we did just that with Insurgency, with the Game It on a Map contest,
Yes.
and maps like Dry Canal and Embassy.
Yes, we have a bit of a history
Station.
with this, right?
Yeah, those are community maps, that we took and we put into the game officially.
Yeah, so if you're interested in making a map for DOI that it would be an honor to get included in the official game, we encourage you to try to do your best to make that happen.
Make something awesome, put it on the workshop, and post about it on the forums. Our eyes are everywhere. We're reading all this stuff and we're checking it out. And even if it doesn't become like an official thing, it's still a big part of our community. And how much custom content there is, and how many servers there are for that, and how well that stuff can be used. Do it. Experiment with Hammer. We'd be really excited to put in community maps into Day of Infamy. It would be great.
Yeah, and I would say the main things that we look for in these maps are first of all, gameplay is really important. Does the gameplay feel consistent with the rest of the game and fun? And also the other aspect is how interesting is the environment? Does it sort of have its own place among all the other maps in the game? Does it have a distinct look and feel to it? These are sorts of the things that make a map more appealing for us to include it in the official release. And then the other question with this was related to the engine version.
Yeah, scroll down.
So recently we actually got an update from Valve on the CSGO engine version. the latest version of the CS:GO engine, which we've been waiting on for a really long time. And so hopefully now we could like fix some of these odd crashes that people have been experiencing that were like engine deep, and we were having a hard time sorting out. And we could also implement some of their newer features like hitbox capsules.
So instead of it being a box for like your arm, it'll actually be like something that fits the shape of your arm.
Yeah, and this will hopefully improve hit detection a good amount in DOI, but also in Insurgency. Like we'll release this as an update for Insurgency.
Right.
And what else am I missing?
CSM.
CSM.
On Linux.
CSM what?
CSM on Linux.
On Linux, yes, and Mac. So right now, CSM shadows don't work on Linux and Mac, but we should be able to address that. So those Linux and Mac users that play Insurgency will get a little bit of a better visual overall experience, like everybody else.
CSM cascaded shadow mapping. It's better shadows.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'm really excited about that may be a bit technical to explain to everybody is Phong on world materials, which is basically like in Source, everything tends to look very flat. Like when you look at a wall, like the bricks on a wall, like you can't really tell that they're bricks. It sort of looks like a wallpaper in a way, and that has a lot to do with the way that lighting is calculated on these world materials in the maps. But that got improved actually in the newest version of CS:GO, so we can create more depth in like just basic flat like brushes. So like bricks, for instance, will look more like real bricks and not like a wallpaper.
Right.
So that's something that I think will add like a lot of visual.
There's a bunch of stuff. When we got that code, all our programmers like jumped right into it, and they were just peeling around, and we're gonna see what we can do.
Let's see.
NWI devs are the bestest. Thank you.
What about destruction? I don't think it's worth committing to anything that's like too drastic to get you guys all really excited that there's going to be destruction in our games. I think that in Sandstorm, maybe there'll be like some degree of destruction. Like certain things will be destructible. I don't think our team is. I don't think we have enough like environment artists, honestly, to create all the assets that would be needed to make the environments fully destructible.
Well,
but not only that, but also all the technical optimizations that would need to be made to make sure that it runs smoothly as well.
Well, not only those two things, but also another thing to keep in mind, I think, and I always say this because people ask during the streams, like when I'm playing, and this is something I always make a point to mention, like destruction isn't like definitely a good thing always, right? Like you could ruin a level's gameplay balance with destruction. What if that building just wasn't there anymore and you just destroyed it? Then like you don't have cover, and like what if that happened every round? Then that might create an imbalanced thing. So yeah, it's not something that we can say that we're definitely going to do.
Yeah, I don't think it serves gameplay very well, but it certainly serves like that reinforcement, that reward for like shooting a rocket at a wall.
Yeah,
like
no, it does. It looks instead of just like a flat black spot.
It should,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, so I think there's things that we could do to make the environments feel more reactive to destruction.
But it would be mostly aesthetic. It wouldn't really be
like not like replacing models with like a blown out wall and stuff like that.
Right, like I'll just blow up the wall and now we have this excellent firing position,
Yeah, but with DOI, I actually want to talk about, because there's something interesting that we've been discussing with DOI regarding destruction. Is like we have this awesome new artillery feature in the game, but sometimes when you use it on like a church, for instance, like if the church has a full ceiling and stuff, like it's just completely fine, after the artillery. But we were talking about possibly. This is more for the full release, not so much for early access, but having it so that objectives, specifically like objective buildings that are like really important landmark buildings, like the ceilings might be able to be collapsed when they're struck by artillery. So like for instance, if a church, coming back to the church example, if a church is an objective in the game on any of the modes, that particular church would be able to have like the ceiling could collapse. On that church. So it's not like a full-on destruction implementation, but it's kind of a cool, sort of brief introduction to destruction that fits in with gameplay, and it's rewarding when you call an artillery and the whole building falls apart and stuff like that.
And it'll be cinematic and, correct me if I'm wrong, but after you blow off the roof of the church, the next artillery shells will make it through the holes that they've created, right?
Say that again? Yes.
Like you're opening a hole.
Yes. Will Mikey play as a smooth, calm army official in Sandstorm?
Like I said, we're gonna have a variety of different voiceover talent for Sandstorm because we're gonna have a story mode. As far as the multiplayer VO goes, I don't know. Like that's something we'll explore. I will be in it though because my voice is already in Insurgency, and we're certainly gonna use some of that VO. As far as the story goes, I can't really say.
Let's see.
Just going through the list.
Somebody's asking about AT4C4 RPG and ID being used near the respawn of enemies. Would be a kill respawn. I'm not sure if I understand what he means. But there will be vehicles in Sandstorm, so these weapons would be useful for those vehicles.
Yeah.
And we always want to mitigate spawn camping. That's something that we're constantly fight always.
Of course,
with balance, and obviously there's sometimes it slips on certain maps and certain modes, and you can kind of spawn camp with explosives or with whatever. But we always as soon as the community lets us know about that, we dive right in and we try and address it immediately.
Yeah, I try to be very in touch with our community in regards to fixing those things. I speak personally to some of them on Steam. We're watching the forums. If you find something like that, like, hey, I can kill everybody in the spawn on this map, like, tell us, and we'll go in and we'll fix it.
Oh, this is an interesting question. Sushi Rose asks, I only have one question. The only one. About. Will there be a gas mask cosmetic item? Please, I want a gas mask or maybe something like that. Maybe a bandana or something. I'm a huge sucker for facial wear.
Me too, dude. I want one of these. I want a neck gaiter I could pull up over my face and be like, oh, fucking operator.
So I imagine he's talking about Sandstorm.
Yes, Sandstorm.
And the answer with regards to Sandstorm is actually I could say that yes, there will be a gas mask in the game. I don't know how useful it's going to be, but there will be sort of searching for chemical weapons as part of the story, and that's a little bit of like a sort of not a spoiler, but like a brief synopsis introduction.
Throw that off into the wind, like little nugget of information.
Yeah, there's a part of the story where your squad is searching for chemical weapons, and you think that there could be chemical weapons used on you, so it makes sense for everybody to be equipped with gas masks in the event of that.
And we should take this opportunity to say, as far as those cosmetic items go, it would be stuff like that, stuff that you wear on your face and your neck, like a scarf or whatever, maybe an arm patch, that says you're, I don't know, a flag or a blood type, like all kinds of little things that we could do.
So Trolika is asking if Sandstorm will be early access release in 2017 or full game. So I think there's two aspects of this that are worth touching on. The first thing is that I'm not sure if we're going to do an early access for Sandstorm. Doing like a full-fledged console release, we may do like a closed beta instead, like leading up to the release. We're probably gonna do a simultaneous release on all platforms, PC and console included. And the other aspect we're touching on is that we're still aiming for next year, but I don't want to say 100% that the game will be shipped next year. There's a lot that's going to go into it. What I will say is that we're aiming to show something at Paris Games Week later this year, which is in October, November, and we're aiming to show a lot more at E3 next year in June. And these will represent milestones where you could see considerable improvements and getting closer towards the release of the game. And our goal is still to release next year. But being a game developer, knowing that things change and that we may want to just make a better game that takes us a little bit longer. I don't want to say that it should be 100% expected that the game would ship then. And if it doesn't, it would be early the following year. So that's worth mentioning as well.
The scale we're going for is big, and this is a new engine, and they're doing a lot of things. They're doing the story mode. We're doing all these other improvements. We really want to do this well, and like nobody likes to play a game that comes out and it's buggy as shit, and like it doesn't run. So we need to take the time that we need, to make sure everything works well, and that's just what we're going to do.
Yeah, but we will probably do some sort of beta.
Yes, as you said, a closed beta.
So there will be an opportunity for some of you guys to get the game before it actually ships and get us your feedback before everybody else, because obviously you guys are our core audience, so we care about what you guys think first and foremost. This was well before I answered this question.
Yeah. Well, we're still scrolling down. This is
okay.
We go back. Dinosaurs are confirmed. Okay, so we're a little while
really far back.
I mentioned dinosaurs like 20 minutes ago. That was a reference to Battlefield, I think. There was like a 4chan thread where a DICE dev went on to 4chan, I think, and he was like, "What do you guys want to see in the new Battlefield?" And they were like, "Dinosaurs would be cool." Yeah, definitely dinosaurs. And so I think in one of the missions, like you're a tank operator, and you're like just sitting in your tank, and you're playing with a dinosaur figurine, and they just threw that in there as like a reference. It comes back later. It's related to a minor story thing, but that was a thing.
Sushi Rose asks, will bullets be hit scan, or will you guys convert?
Whoa. Sushi Rose said that they only had one question. Do we want to answer this?
Well, they're both good questions.
It's true, they are.
We want to encourage good question
I know.
asking.
I'm just kidding.
So I use that as an opportunity to let everybody know that if you have good questions, we're going to answer them, and if you have more than one good question, we will still answer it.
Yeah, you don't need to only ask one. If you have whatever your question is, you can feel free to ask.
Yes. Where did that question go? I lost it.
Oh crap.
No,
go down.
Go down, really?
I thought. Yeah, stop.
Okay, got it. Will bullets be hit scan, or will you guys convert to using bullet physics? So we actually already implemented a system that has bullet drop.
Well, it has. Right. Sorry. Go on.
You might know better than me.
Oh well, it was. I was talking to one of our programmers, Steven Swires, about this, and he they drop now, and they act like physical objects. So they drop. They slow down, I think, the more they travel, and as they penetrate stuff, they slow down even further. So it's three different things, I guess. But they act like real bullets, There's time to travel, they drop with gravity, and they slow down as they go through the air and they penetrate things.
Yeah, so the main thing we wanted to avoid is using the projectile system in UE4 because it's very expensive. We actually experimented with that initially, and it was just not as optimal as we liked. So we're sort of using like a hard-coded system that's similar to HitScan, but it sort of like incrementally drops over time. So we're basically simulating bullet drop and bullet ballistics, but we're doing so in a very hard-coded way, not like shooting a projectile and letting physics affect it. Right. Like I'm sure some UE4 games are using the projectile. And
so the effect of this is that it's better optimized?
It's a lot better optimized than that. This is an interesting question. Mods for console games are becoming popular. Mods for Sandstorm on consoles. So that is something that I will say, I will not say yes to, but I will definitely not say no to. That goes right within our whole company mentality, supporting mods and everything. I imagine we might have to I guess depending on Xbox and PS4's support for I don't know if they have an equivalent of Workshop, so we might have to manually decide this mod is worth putting in a community spotlight on console.
It might have to be curated.
Yeah, it might have to be curated by us. But even if that's the case, it might be worthwhile for us. So we're definitely open to that. Somebody mentioned Canadians. Not that we talked about it at all.
Yeah, did we mention Canadians?
But I think it's worth mentioning that Canadians will be in DOI.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to try and represent as many sort of nationalities in DOI as possible.
Yeah.
To sort of, because that's an area that I think a lot of World War II shooters sort of neglect, is that there were so many diverse types of people fighting in the war.
It was a world war, like
Yeah,
there were people from all over.
Exactly. So like especially focusing on Italy, like a lot of the new maps we've built have been focused on Italy, and we plan on doing like the full range of Commonwealth forces, British, Canadian, Scottish. We also want to do Indian forces, and within the American Army, we want to also represent African American and Japanese American units as well. The occupation forces that may not have been fighting in the front line, but certainly saw action.
Right. In Italy and in other theaters too.
Yes, and an interesting thing about having all these different sort of factions, if you will, that you could play as in this World War II game, is that even though each map will have a default faction, that is the one that by default you will play this map as this faction because it's sort of based on history and based on who really fought in this area. We will also support servers to override it and say, like, we want to play every map as Canadians. We want to play every map as African Americans. We want to play every map as whatever we want. Indians, whatever, you name it, Canadians. So that is sort of a cool thing about this, that you could join a Canadian server, and like play. You can play Omaha Beach as a Canadian, even though technically it didn't happen that way. It might still be fun for a lot of you Canadians to storm, Normandy with your Canadian uniforms.
Pretend
and
it's Juno or Sword or Gold. I think those were the ones, right?
Yeah. So like this is another reason why we're not claiming that DOI is a realistic game. Like same with Insurgency, we don't claim that it's a realistic game. Because we're going to take some deviations from realism so that we can create these really fun experiences that realism may not necessarily allow.
And just encourage modding too, like play as who you want.
Yep. All right, I got to catch up on questions.
Yeah, you could. Canadians. For people who have joined us a little late, I should probably take this opportunity to say, my name is Michael Tsarouhas. I'm the community manager and one of the voice actors for New World Interactive. I'm also the voiceover manager. I'm here with Jeremy Blum, the CEO and game director, and we're just taking this opportunity. This is a live, open Q&A. Feel free to put your questions in the chat. We're going through the log right now, answering the ones we can. And stay tuned because we have some other cool stuff coming later.
That's true.
Yeah.
Some exciting stuff
true.
that
Pretty
people,
exciting stuff.
Are they
Jeremy.
expecting anything exciting?
No, I don't think they know about this exciting thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's probably good.
Yeah, it's good.
They'll be more excited about it.
I think they'll be very excited when they learn about the exciting thing.
Okay, cool.
Right? Yeah.
So anyway, about something other than that exciting thing.
Yes. Questions. Yeah.
Well,
Transparency.
I know Sandstorm be better built for 32 players because in its current state, 32 players in INS is way too cramped. So with Sandstorm, we're actually going to be building the game around 24 players. For the PC version, we're going to try to get the same full 32 player support. But for consoles, it'll be 24 player. And we'll sort of see how well everything's networked and sort of how and sort of whether we can get the quality and the performance that we want out of the game with 32 players. Because we may want to push for higher quality at a slightly less player count. Because in my eyes, I think the best Insurgency experiences are 24 players. When there's enough people for there to be constant action, but there's also enough space for you to actually be able to think and like be able to flank and things like that. Because when it's 32 players, like on our size maps, like you can barely flank because there's just people everywhere. I mean that's my opinion, obviously, and we know that a lot of you want the full 32 player experience, so we will do our best to still support that.
But it is a question as far as optimization goes and providing that good.
Yeah,
gameplay
because
that wanna have.
we want to have these really incredibly improved environments and much higher detail characters and new gameplay features that require networking, more data back and forth between the client and the server. There's all these things that go into optimizing a multiplayer game, and we've never done it with UE4 before. And this is our first time doing it with UE4. We know that with Source, the engine is very well built for multiplayer in mind. And I imagine that's the same with UE4, considering Unreal and a lot of the games that have shipped for it. So fingers crossed, I think we'll probably be okay at the full 32-player count for PC, but I don't want to say 100% for certain.
It's something we have to be realistic about, especially considering all these platforms that we're making,
And also with competitive being a big focus for Insurgency, that's more geared around 10 to 16 players, I'd say. So the game has to be really fun at that player count as well. So if we make the game too much based around 32 players like we did with the original game, it'll be harder to make the game really entertaining and fun also with half or less than half of that amount of players. All right, back to questions.
Mikey, scream RPG and stop laughing for my comments. Complain. Oh, we know it was a typo. We're just teasing.
All right, so I guess I have to reiterate this point. Somebody asked if Dave Infamy will receive any engine shift/upgrade throughout its course of development. The current one is outdated. Like I said before, we're using Source for a reason. It's out. We build our platform on Source. We can get a game out on it quickly, and the current day of Infamy will not shift to a different engine. It will probably upgrade because we have these new CS:GO engine features that we're going to improve the visuals within the current engine. But it's not going to, for instance, become a UE4 game before it ships. However, like I said earlier, after we build our platform, after we establish our platform with Sandstorm, then it opens up the opportunity to build other different types of shooters using that platform with Unreal 4.
We did answer some of these questions, and we're trying to skip them as we see them. But if you guys want to, this will be available to play back as a broadcast on Twitch, just like any other broadcast. So you can do that, and you can check it out from the beginning. That was one of the first questions that we did answer. Don't be afraid to ask. Just go ahead and ask, but just be aware, there is a log. You can go back and listen to these.
So somebody asked, will your different armor equip choice affect the model? That's absolutely something that we are making sure is fully fleshed out with Sandstorm.
Right on.
But not only that, but with DOI as well, although it doesn't apply to armor, it applies to your kit.
Yeah, there's no armor.
The kit that you choose in DOI will be reflected on your character. So it won't be so much that you just have this base character that you are no matter what you choose. You will feel your character be customized as you customize it in the kit selection in DOI.
Right, it's going to be reflected, basically.
Yep. The spectator mode somebody's asking about. Well, the spectator mode in Insurgency and DOI has improved quite substantially. For those who are unfamiliar with the new Kappa mode, basically you could go around in spectator and turn on depth of field and very smoothly scan around the world and stuff. It's very cinematic. It's very cool. It's actually how we shot the trailer for DOI.
Yeah, it was cool.
A lot of people, we wanted to shoot it in Source Filmmaker or something, but that would have been too much work for us. So we ended up going with this approach instead. But it turned out to have a pretty cool effect to it.
I think what they also might mean in that question, as far as spectator stuff goes, is maybe different layouts or different visually displayed information in spectator mode, which would help with broadcasting.
Yeah. Well, that's more of a comp feature that we're gonna probably look into for DOI and Sandstorm.
Right.
Once we start hooking up competitive and seeing how it streams and iterating and improving on that.
Right.
All right.
Fong for life. Right on.
Someone said they would gladly pay $60 for Insurgency Sandstorm. I don't think it's going to be that expensive, but thank you. That's
Yeah.
that's very nice.
Buy it multiple times, and you can do that.
Well, one thing I will say, just to sort of set the expectations, when we were originally planning on making this more of just like recreate the same maps, like the best maps, and like improve them and add some new weapons and add a story mode and this and that. We were thinking about pricing the game at about $30 or something, like maybe $35. But I think now that we're sort of expanding the content a bit more and creating a really a lot deeper of a content-rich experience, we're probably looking more like in the 40 US range, 40 to 50, like 40, 45 or something like that, when the game ships, when it's ready. So it's worth sort of preparing you guys for that. That's part of the reason why we want to, well, it's actually reflective of the fact that we want to make it a more complete, like, awesome game.
It's going to be worth the money that it is. We're really putting a lot into this next project of ours.
Yeah, I think 40 is probably a good price for it, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We got to talk to our publisher about that.
Yeah, we also got to.
So we can't just like. So everything you hear me say now is all tentative.
Right.
But it's just sort of preparing your mindset for expectations.
Yeah, we want to be transparent with you guys. Like, we want to be clear about like what we're thinking about, what's going on with our plans. Just digest it, knowing that nothing's final.
Somebody asked if we could make it so you can look at your legs in INS or DOI. It's always been possible. Like Left 4 Dead 1 does it, I think.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look very good. Maybe people like it anyway because
they
it's
do.
like
they say,
it
it's about immersion and stuff.
Yeah, but like it just looks so weird. Like
they look different right now than I see them in game.
But they'd be like floating off the ground.
Yeah.
Like Source is kind of weird with animation, and like it's a bit tedious working with our animation system.
Well, what about with UE4?
Oh, with UE4, I think it's something that we could explore a lot more.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure yes, but we will look into it.
Right. Yeah. I do understand. Like, it is an immersion thing, looking down at your legs and stuff. But I'm more attracted to the stuff going on in front, But we'll see about UE4. Elvis sideburns. Oh my. Dino Riders would be dope as a Battlefield game. I'd try Dino Riders. I think there were games like that. There must have been a game by now where you could ride dinosaurs. Oh, Dino D-Day. Also on Source.
Yeah, I met those guys. They're pretty cool.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, cool.
Would it be bad of me to be porting over the DOI content to INS so I can make a map now to then test on DOI? You could try that. I would just wait. We're so close.
Yeah, dude, July's like next month.
I mean, we can give you a key. You can start playing now, but Hammer's not included. Like the SDK is not included with the key you'd get. Yeah. Good luck with that, though. Keep us posted, like on your progress. Like we want to see your map.
for sure.
So, and that's Zell's Storm, by the way, that I'm responding to.
Zell's Storm is a community map maker.
Crosolider is asking about optimization UE4, and he's asking if we'll have problems with UE4 based on some other games problems they've had. And that's another reason why we're like trying to really build the strong core mechanics and prototype our scale and our and all of our core systems like as early as possible before we dive in and start to polish the game. And that's another reason why you won't see screenshots or videos that soon, is because like we really want to make like the game function really well, and that includes optimization. That includes like making sure that everything is well built from the ground up. So I will say that like we are aware that UE4 is very visually pretty, but also sometimes produces games that are not well optimized, and we don't want to be one of those developers. Like we really want to make sure that the game is fully fleshed out and optimal before we put it out there.
And UE4 is still being worked on by those guys, so that's another thing to keep in mind.
Orange Dragon is asking how I got into game development and formed New Worlds. I kind of talked briefly about myself at the beginning. I don't like to talk about myself.
But it's okay. You have an interesting history.
But yeah, just briefly, like I started out in modding when I was really young, like 15. Started Red Orchestra mod, and then later co-founded Insurgency with Andrew Spearman, our creative director. And after that, I interned at THQ briefly. Worked on a game called Frontline Field of War, and then I went to college, and then I graduated school and decided to start a video game company. Because I really wanted to start a video game company, and I felt that I knew the right people and had the skills, I guess, necessary, and got investors, and yeah, that's all history now. Things were kind of tense early on, like we weren't sure if we were going to make it, you know.
It's hard.
There was very few of us.
Days, right?
It was probably like 5 or 6 of us at first, you know, like making a shooter game. And shooter games that we're competing with are made by like hundreds of people. So
yeah.
So it was a bit of a challenge, an uphill battle that we had to fight. But and similar, like, you know, when we announced Insurgency on early access, like people were super skeptical. Like people really doubted us a lot. Like we got a lot of shit on the internet, and it took us a while to sort of turn people's heads and show them that we really are onto something, you know.
Right.
And that's sort of part of our personality that we've sort of established as a company is like, you know, we kind of do feel like we have something to prove, you know, like, no, seriously, even if we have achieved something, like we still don't, we don't take that too much to,
right. Of course,
to ourselves. Like we really want to constantly prove ourselves. So, you know, that DOI is another example of that. Like, I think DOI will surprise people when they actually play it, and when they hear people talk about it and see the reviews and watch raw gameplay footage and stuff. I think they'll get a lot more excited about it than like just watching the E3 trailer
right,
and just hearing about it and
There's
stuff.
still a lot to see that you haven't really seen yet. You know, all the stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, the way you can see it is like the creators of Insurgency created like the World War II game that they want to play.
We did. We did do that.
That's what we did. Like
that is what the Day of Infamy mod was, you know.
But even the game itself, too, even more so, like Day of Infamy is a World War II game that we want to play, that we want to make, and it's completely different than any other World War II games out there. Yeah, that's. I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it at that.
We really liked Day, and we're not just bullshitting or anything. We really like Day of Defeat. Like we all grew up on that. We all feel nostalgic for it, and we wanted to create an experience like that, and we wanted to share it with other people who could also play with us. Like that is truly one of the things that we wanted to do with Day of Infamy, and it's been a really cool experience, and it's still cool, and it'll be very exciting to get into early access and see it change. We're very happy with what we're coming out the gate with. Something else I wanted to ask in reference to your history, what are some of your talents, what are some of your skills and abilities in regards to game development?
Okay, so why don't I start at the beginning, like where I started and where I am now?
Well, like what have you worked, what fields have you worked in?
Right, so I'll start at the beginning. So,
okay.
So when we were first starting out with Red Orchestra mod, I sort of played the role as like a lead artist, I'd say. Like I kind of, like I was like the lead on the project. Like I was recruiting everybody, including all the people that are now like, you know, the owners of Tripwire Interactive. Like I recruited all those guys. I brought the team into place, and I laid a very, you know, general vision for the game. So it was creative as well. But also I did modeling. I made characters, character art. I did some weapon art back then. It was pretty bad. And then for Insurgency, when I switched to Insurgency, I sort of switched gears. This was all still on the art side. I switched gears to animating characters and animation in general. So I did all the character animations for Insurgency mod. And I also like really led the team like on that, like really was like functioned as a lead coder, even though I wasn't the lead coder. Like I worked with all the coders and gave them direction on like what to do. And I still do that a lot. But from there, I went to school and I studied computer science, and I learned to program, because I felt kind of worthless as an artist, honestly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love artists, like, and I work with a lot of them. But I felt very like I wasn't able to do things on my own, and that was sort of frustrating for me, especially as a lead and working with a lot of different talent. I felt like I needed to learn my engineering skills in order to be able to understand what everybody's doing and to be able to fill in when I have to make a release happen or something. So Insurgency was a real test for me. Like the release of Insurgency, I had to expand my programming ability pretty substantially. So now, not only that, but also level design I started doing. And that actually, from a very simple point, I started doing very young. I started like making like StarCraft maps when I was like 13, 14.
Those are
and
great,
also
dude.
I made Rainbow Six Rogue Spear custom maps as well with their like custom map editor and stuff. Like it wasn't like creating a map from scratch. It was like taking an existing map and making a new experience out of it, if you will. And then more recently, I got into like Hammer and actually I designed some of the maps that are in DOI. I designed Reichswald, which is based actually on Sinjar, the popular Insurgency map, and I also designed Sicily, which is loosely based on Verticality, one of the Insurgency maps as well. So I can't say I fully designed them. There's a lot of design that came from those maps. But yeah, I'm involved in pretty much every I understand every aspect of game development pretty much, whether it's creating art, animating it, coding, creating levels, sort of merging the code with the levels, all that. I don't do it all, but sometimes I do when I feel like I need to step into a certain area in order to fill a void. Like for instance, with DOI, I felt like with level design there was a void for like good blockouts, good gameplay to be created. So I dove into that, and now on the code side, I'm really diving in on the new spawn system,
Right.
improving AI, and also gameplay systems. And not our whole team is working on DOI. A lot of people are focused on Sandstorm. So it's important that everything gets the attention that it needs.
Just before we started streaming, you were working on the spawn system.
Yep. Yeah.
Programming.
And I will be doing a lot of coding for the next month leading up to the release. Yeah.
There's a question about a map competition. That's something that we talked about this earlier. And again, you can watch the broadcast back if you'd like. But one of the things we do want to do with Dave Infamy is consider putting community maps into the game officially if they're of good quality. And we might even do a map contest in order to facilitate that sort of thing.
Trying to find good questions.
Wait, what Red Orchestra mod did you... Jeremy Blum founded Red Orchestra when it was a mod for Unreal. When you were how old?
I was like 14, 15. I was really young. I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest.
Well, you still founded a mod project.
I had a
It
vision.
started-
I mean, like Red Orchestra turned into something, right?
It absolutely did, right?
But yeah, I don't hold any ill will towards the Tripwire guys. Like they did what had to be done and sort of took everything to the next level. Like they basically formed a company out of Red Orchestra, and I was way too young to participate in that. I was
Right.
like, I need to go to college. Like no, that was not
Right.
part of my plans. So
You moved on to different things.
yeah, the other thing too is I didn't really like the large scale vehicle stuff, that the direction that they took it in. Like I would have, if I had stayed on the team, I probably would have wanted like it to stay more of an infantry oriented experience at closer quarters, like it started out as, and that's more synonymous with what Dave Infamy is what like I would have, if I had remained on the Red Orchestra team, like that's what I would have wanted to see it become.
Where'd you get the name Red Orchestra?
It's actually based on a spy network in a Russian spy network during the war. Yeah, and we were originally thinking about doing a single player thing, but then we were just like, no. Let's see.
Did you ever play on the Band of Beavers or the Leftovers DoD servers, Day of Defeat servers? Oh man, I don't remember. That was a while back. I remember just playing. I had to use GameSpy Arcade because one didn't work. Like the in-game browser didn't work for me. And I remember Day of Defeat was my first like game that I played online, like at all. I remember running around in the Omaha map, like thinking, like, man, I wish I could get this to work online. And I had to do it through GameSpy Arcade. And my first map was playing on that same Omaha map with people, and I was like, oh my god, like there's other people shooting at me. That's great. And it was a cool experience. It was also the first game I played when I got high-speed internet. I remember when I spawned in Khan, in the Allied spawn, and I was like, wow, everything's so smooth. It was great. Mm-hmm. Definitely a lot of nostalgia with Day of Defeat, if you can't tell already.
Can you talk about the weapons we're going to see in Sandstorm? So we're going to try and include most of the popular weapons from Insurgency, but we also want to explore some new weapons, because Sandstorm has to be like a new game. It has to be like seen as like a really distinct experience from the current Insurgency. There has to be some cool new stuff. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Let's not go into
we don't want to, again, like, we don't want to say too much. Things might change, but we do want to tell you guys what we're thinking at the same time, you know, and that is what we're thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say in terms of like when in DoD's life cycle, there's the most inspiration in this in DOI, I'd say around the beta 2 phase. Somebody's talking about they had a 1.3 server.
1.3. I think that's when I started. 1.3B specifically.
1.3 was pre machine guns though. That was before they had.
Like, they got the machine gun, and there was sick recoil on those things when you fired them. I remember, unless you set them up.
I think beta 2 was like the golden, in my opinion, the golden DoD build.
Because there were machine guns in 2. There was the new reticle too, right?
Yes.
It was like a line, and then it moved around.
Yeah, and that was pretty good actually.
I like that. Yeah, I thought that worked.
Yeah.
Which is funny, they got the gunplay that good in a Half-Life 1 mod, you know. Firearms had good ones, too.
It was the best for Half-Life 1.
Yeah.
In my opinion, anyway.
I liked it, too. Yeah, I thought it was good. Firearms was good, too, but...
Yeah, Firearms was awesome.
Yeah. Do you remember how they had the iron sights was your reticle? Like, whatever weapon-specific iron sights was just stuck in the middle of the screen? That was cute. Before we got to the point in game development where we put iron sights on the actual weapons and looked through them.
It's funny because with Red Orchestra, we were like one of the first people to ever have iron sights and free aim in like shooters. So we kind of like paved the way a bit with that.
Yeah. Well, you certainly popularized it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why with Insurgency we focus so much on that core feel.
The free aim,
the way the free aim feels, and the way the weapon spring works, and all that. There's a lot that went into that, surprisingly. It may not seem that way, but a lot of balance and careful methodology
definitely
went into that. So,
someone's asking what's going on. Hello, what's going on here? Let me just take this opportunity. My name is Michael Tsarouhas. I'm the community manager, voice actor, and voiceover manager for New World Interactive, and I'm here with our CEO and game director, Jeremy Blum, and we're just answering questions in the chat. We also have a surprise in a little bit. And we're just talking about all of our projects and answering questions that you might have. So if you want to throw them in the chat. I think we're at the end of the list now, aren't we?
Yeah, we actually are. There's one more question I'm going to address regarding competitive mode release in Insurgency. So there's actually going to be a blog post coming out pretty soon by Nick Gollin, the engineer working on competitive. And that's going to kind of outline, I think, where he's at and what the progress is. I don't want to make any false promises anymore, so I'm not going to like give you guys an estimation, but I think the first iteration on it in Insurgency will happen at some point in the near future, within the next couple of months probably. I don't want to say any sooner than that. And probably is an important word, but he is making really good progress, and we have been able to see a lot of his progress. So I think it's more a matter of finalizing than it is of like starting from scratch or continuing or whatever. We're getting there. We're making progress, and everything that we're doing for this is with the future games in mind. So it's with DOI in mind, it's with Sandstorm in mind. There's a lot of back-end server infrastructure stuff going into this and stats collection stuff going into this that is going to apply to all of our games. So we need to make sure that we flesh all that out while we're implementing it for Insurgency. But yeah, I'm sorry if it's not the answer you wanted to hear, but it's the reality that we're working with.
It is realistically what we want to do for competitive, what we need to do for competitive to make it as good as we want it to be and to provide that experience for everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, it's clearly our goal. Like we have accepted that the Insurgency community wants competitive. Like
which is something we didn't intend.
Which is something, yeah, exactly. Yeah, when we originally built the game, we didn't think that it would take off as a competitive game. Like we didn't think that people would see it as a competitive game. So we were kind of surprised actually when people were like, we want competitive, like this needs competitive, it kind of surprised us. But being the background that we are, like how we develop, like we did adapt to this demand, and we did decide as a company that we want to focus on esports with games of ours in the future. So we're committed to that future. It's just more a matter about how we get there. And I think our initial expectations that we had for ourselves and that we laid out to all of you may not have been very realistic. And so now we're sort of humbly stepping back and saying, like, look, like we have your best intentions or your will in mind, and we're doing the best that we can to get there. And all of our future games that release, or at least all of our shooters that we release in the near term, whether it be DOI or Sandstorm, like their full releases are going to contain competitive of some sort from the beginning, not added in years later. So
right, because we have that foundation to do that. We can go forward into new things knowing, okay, this is something people want, and we also have coherent, we have cool tools to enact that.
Yeah. And it'll be nice to be able to like fully envision our whole competitive system through like this solid middleware, like just
and iterate on it.
Just iterate on it, and that's the nice thing about Coherent is it's like once we put it out there, people like or don't like certain things, we could just like be like, all right, 5 minutes later, let's try this instead, and push another build. It's much easier to work with. So. I think we're good for the surprise at this point. We've been
it's time for the surprise. I think we've been teasing them long enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's time for the surprise. So, everybody, as you actually, this is a good segue. Somebody asked, what is DOI, guys? DOI is Day of Infamy, and Day of Infamy is a standalone World War II FPS that's going to launch in early access next month in July. And right now, we're in closed alpha. And what day was it? We gave away a bunch of keys in our last stream. I forget when exactly. And today we're going to give away some closed alpha keys specifically to play the closed alpha version of Day of Infamy. So there's going to be a little bit of scarcity to this. But right now I'm going to give away a link. There's 500 keys. So just go ahead and sign up and get your key now.
Holy shit.
Oh,
DOI
shit.
keys for everyone.
DOI keys for everyone. I'm typing it out. I'm letting them know. Now, there's a delay, so, you're already all clicking that and furiously typing in your emails as we speak.
I kind of want to see it.
Here we go. We got 497 keys available, so let's just see what happens, all right? I'm going to tweet this out, too. What should I say? DOI keys, holy shit. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah, that's probably not.
No, I got it.
Oh, it's also worth mentioning that the spawn system I'm working on with co-op, and also co-op in general, like the AI, is a bit rough right now. Like we're working through some stuff. So that's going to be fleshed out a lot in the next week or two. But the multiplayer experience in DOI right now is really strong. It's really fun. So I recommend you guys all hop on a PvP server once you get your keys. We'll probably be hopping in ourselves and joining you guys, and maybe even live streaming some gameplay for you all.
What are people saying? Key obtained. All right. Let's see how many are there. Whoa! There's 50 keys just went like that. Nice. A bounty of keys for you.
Oh yeah, it's also important to mention that these keys are going to be taken away.
Yes, and that's what I was just saying before.
Yes.
Let's reiterate that. These are just closed alpha keys. These are not keys to the full game.
Yes. So when early access comes out next month, you're going to have to purchase the game if you want it.
Yeah, and that will be $20 US.
Yes.
So I'm going to tweet this out here.
Yeah, and also feel free to take screenshots, video, whatever.
Yeah, there's no embargo on this. Put it on YouTube.
Like whatever.
Have at it, ladies and gentlemen.
We know it's early, and we realize we might be judged on the quality, but we really want to get the gameplay experience out there to people. So if you do want to help us promote the game and make some, gameplay videos of you kicking ass on either team in multiplayer, ideally, that would be awesome. We'd be much appreciated. It would be much appreciated. Is what I meant to say.
I'm just posting on Facebook now. Let's see where we're at. DJ Adam Sakura, one of our programmers, is talking in the chat. He was responsible for setting this up. Thank you, Adam. So last time key is permanent, and this one is until yes. The last
email might take a little bit. It may not be instantaneous.
Yeah, it might take a little bit.
So have some patience. All right.
Just give it a moment. Still gotta put. Okay.
Plus, our servers are probably getting hit.
Yeah, they might get a little hit.
Yeah. So.
What? Why is it using that picture?
How do you use your key? You activate it on Steam.
Yep, just put it in. It's just like any other Steam game key. It will be revoked at the point where you get to the point we release on early access. This is just for the closed alpha, but it's free. There's 500 of them. Have at it. We'll register on Steam. I'll go another 50. Give it to your friends too. Get them while they're hot before everybody eats them.
What is the verification code? What somebody's asking.
Verification code. You're going to get an email. You put in your email, and then you get an email, and then it'll give you a verification code. You take that verification code, you put it into the field, you agree to the terms and conditions, you confirm that you're not a robot, you are in fact a human being, and then you get your key.
Yeah, it's important that we don't give out keys to robots.
Right. No, robots are not allowed to play. They're too good. They're like hackers.
They play, but in the form of bots.
Yeah, they play. They already have access. They all have keys. And as our programmer, Adam, says, title of the game will be NWI Contests Email Verification. Where do I redeem it in Steam? If you go to the bottom left of the Steam window, add a game, activate a product on Steam, it's just like that. Just like anything else. If you got a key from some other giveaway, same way. I'm still not getting mail. Just give it a minute. It might take a minute to go through the tubes of the internet and get over to your computer.
389 keys left. Wow.
Nice. Good.
An interesting experiment to see how fast.
Yeah, we're at 385 now. More bodies to slay once we get in there. And yeah, as Jeremy was saying, we're still working on some co-op stuff. All of it's a closed alpha.
Yeah, but I will say that the co-op, even though it's a little bit buggy, the main bugs that we know of and that you should know about if you plan on playing co-op on this build is that one of them is that you sometimes spawn inside other people. That is a known issue with the new spawn system I'm working on. So far, the new spawn system has been very successful, except for in certain ways like this. So I'm working on ironing that out. The other thing is there may be the occasional crash with the bots, with the AI. So we're going to be working, tirelessly the next couple of weeks, polishing things up. So you could expect the co-op and AI-based experience to improve substantially. However, as I mentioned before, the multiplayer side of things is pretty solid right now, pretty strong.
Yes,
so it's a great way for you to see the game the way it's meant to be seen and play with us too, because we're going to be playing shortly. So,
Jeremy, what's your favorite map mode combo in PvP Day of Infamy?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I like Reichswald the most. Offensive.
Reichswald Offensive. That's
Reichswald
good,
Offensive, yeah.
Reichswald Offensive feels like it's this dark German forest, and it's only lit up by the explosions of flamethrower tanks, and the only sound is just gunfire and artillery, and it really sucks to get caught on that hill and get shelled. It's awesome.
It's a cool hill, though.
It is an awesome hill, absolutely. And the house at the end, what we call internally Death House, what I call
The House of Death.
No, you say the House of Death. I just call it Death House, like it's like a Grindhouse film or something. Death House, and that's awesome. And that house is like I said, it's wickedly haunted, dude. So many people die in it, and it looks really creepy inside. There's tarp over all the furniture. My favorite map and mode combo, I think, is probably Bastogne Frontline.
Yeah, that's
It's
a good
just
one.
this big front line, and
Frontline's a cool mode.
yeah, it
It's
is.
fun.
Like people really like push, and that we used push sort of as our inspiration for offensive. And you can feel push feelings when you play frontline too. Only it's going both ways, and it's interesting to see how that changes things.
Yeah, I think-
it feels really fast paced.
Yeah, I think it's got like that intensity of encounter with push, where like you're
Yeah.
forced to head on, with the other team at this specific location. The way push has that, but the fact that it can go back and forth
Yeah.
is a very, very
Yeah, there's
mechanic.
Yeah, there's a new kind of
Unique
like.
gameplay.
It requires more attention, sort of, like in push, you can get kind of spammy, but in frontline, like you're sort of watching, like, okay, which point are they at right now? And this map's big, like it's more open, I think, the way we've built it on Bastogne at least, so you can check that. Kimberly Schultz says, what's this? Hi, Kim, how are you? I'm intrigued, this sounds so awesome. I know you're a big fan of co-op, and there is co-op in this, which I think you will enjoy, although we are still working on some things with the co-op, I should still say. PvP is feeling really good, and it's all feeling really good. But you'll
Yeah,
see.
even though co-op is like buggy and might crash every once in a while, like it's still
Yeah.
fun as hell. The modes are pretty awesome, and the bots, there's a lot of them, and they're pretty intelligent. They do intelligent things compared to the bots.
They
in
do.
Insurgency.
They
They also do some dumb things because they're
Well, yeah,
ironed out.
they're
but
work in progress,
But
know.
the way that they like entrench themselves and like they're more like real frontline soldiers. It's cool.
Yeah, they're more defensive. They're smarter. They're aggressive when it's appropriate.
They also stab you with bayonets.
They also stab you with bayonets.
If
It's,
you're close enough.
this is so cool.
Yeah, so you sometimes have bots charging you with bayonets.
Yeah.
In the future, we'll have some good VO attached to that too.
Yeah, I think it might already be. I recorded some generic ones for it. I think they might already be in. We'd have to ask James, who's programming our AI.
Somebody's asking about Firefight in DOI, and I think it's also worth mentioning before what I said about Liberation mode. If you like Firefight and Insurgency, I would highly recommend checking out Liberation.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a mix between Firefight and like DoD flag capture in a way. Plus our Insurgency sort of wave mechanics, reinforcement waves. It's got that same sort of 3-point controlling the map sort of experience, but it's a little bit more sustained than Firefight. But the pace is also slower than the other modes, which are a lot more sustained than Liberation. So for those who prefer that sort of closer, like more strategic, less spawning type of gameplay, I would recommend checking out Liberation.
DJ Adams, one of our programmers, is just letting everybody to know the keys are linked to your email. Where you input your email, it will get reserved for you. If you did not receive your email, that's okay. We will resend the verification code for you. Please give the email some time, though, to go through before contacting us to resend. So give it some time. It's going through, again, the tubes, and it might take a few minutes. Don't worry, we have your email on file. Like, you're not going anywhere. It's just a matter of getting you the key.
Will we be playing with them, Mikey? They want to play with us.
I just got to go to the bathroom, and then I'm good to go.
Oh, you're not allowed to go to the bathroom.
No. Yes, sir. We work hard here. Typed in your email wrong. think you should be able to just type it back in. My email got lost in the Arctics of Canada.
Well, it might not let him type back in because it's the same IP.
Oh, okay.
Can you send him a key personally if I give you one?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the type of customer support that we
we're right
like
here,
to
dude.
have at NWI.
I'm gonna message you right now, PSU PS4 clan, and I'm gonna whisper you a key. How the hell do I do that? I do this. Hello. This is what we believe in: customer support, customer satisfaction. For other people who are having key trouble, again, give it some time because, like, again, when you put your email in, it's recorded, it's there. But it just might take a little time to get to you. If it doesn't get to you eventually, then yes, there might be a problem, and you can reach out to us. You can email info@newworldinteractive.com. But just give it a minute. Like, it's only been like 5 minutes since we did this, and there's already, hold on, over 200 keys have gone.
Okay, just send me 10 more in case there's like other.
Yeah. Good.
I'll give you more if it's necessary.
Where's this is here. I'm just gonna crank this one open. Put it in a dock. Oh shit, 1 second. Okay, PSU, here's your key. They have hype for me. I like that, Will. Very good. Yeah, check the spam folder.
Well, I guess you guys can find out now if the hype is real,
Yeah.
right?
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not, let us know. Like,
Yeah,
we'll swallow
let
our
us know and
tongues.
we'll...
But we're excited about this game.
Fuck
Like,
yeah, dude.
We're super excited about this game.
I feel like a kid again, playing Day of Defeat. It's not sending me a code. Again, give it a minute, give it a few minutes. Just wait to make sure. 40 seconds left until it is downloaded. Stop the stream and come play, guys. Yeah, we're going to play. We're going to play. I'm going to go to the bathroom.
You do that. I'll
me.
hold
Sorry.
the fort.
All right.
God, Mikey, God.
Relax.
I'm taking over the duties here. Yeah, I definitely recommend you guys when you play multiplayer DOI in the near future. Definitely check out the artillery feature. It works either as a you have to either be a leader or a radio guy. The leader has the ability to call the artillery using the radio menu in the game, and you can only call the artillery if there's a radio guy within a certain like close range of you. So you have to like coordinate with your radio buddy, your radio teammate, who has a radio backpack, and you have to make sure that he's close by so that you could call the artillery at the right moment. It's a pretty awesome feature. It's a lot of fun to coordinate with friends and lay hell on the enemy. So I definitely recommend you guys give that a shot when you get the game and play it today. And by the way, there isn't like a radio class. It's a lot of the classes support a radio. Like you can get a radio as an option. The support class has the radio by default, but I think the rifleman, assault, and rifleman, assault, support. I think those are the three actual classes that can get the radio. Oh, the engineer as well. The leader can't get the radio because he's the one that calls it in. The machine gunner doesn't get a radio. Sniper doesn't get a radio. I think that's about it. Where did we get the idea for artillery? It's a good question. I don't know. I just like thought of it one time, and I decided we should implement it. So we did, and it turned out to be a lot of fun. So we, made it better.
You want me to get you more water?
Sure, I guess. Thanks. I also recommend trying the bayonets out. They're pretty fun. And the slings are an interesting upgrade too. They allow you to switch to your other weapons quicker. Although there's no visual representation of the sling on your weapon yet. There will be. When is it possible to host a DOI server? That's a good question. We'll look into that.
Here you go.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
right there. Careful. I'm coming in, excuse me. Okay. All right. This should be somewhere else.
208 keys left.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. Good. 207.
How much should we talk about that?
It's okay. We're laughing because some of the questions are stuff that we've already said, which is fine. Like, I know we know people arrive late. That's fine, but it's just funny. Remember that you can always, this live stream is saved, so you can. Will this code work for the released game, or we have to buy it? You will have to buy it. This is just for the closed alpha.
Yeah, we want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
This does not get you a key to the full game or the early access release.
Correct.
This just gives you a key for the next couple, I'm not going to say how long.
Good one.
For the next foreseeable future until the game ships in early access, you guys could play the game for everybody else and let us know what you think. Let us know when shit's broken. That's good to know.
Yes.
Yeah, and let us know if you have ideas, ways to improve the game.
Yeah, this is an alpha, and the feedback's important. Break the maps, do everything.
Yeah.
And let us know.
Yep, exactly. It's not 3 weeks, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not 3 weeks.
It's not 3 weeks.
It is sometime in July.
Sometime in July is the plan.
Sometime in July. And you'll probably find out before the actual day. Like, we're not just going to drop the game and be like, bam, it's out.
Boom!
No, it's probably not going to happen. It'll be, we'll announce like a week ahead. We'll release the release trailer, which will be different than the reveal one, which was very cinematic. This will be a little bit more gameplay highlighting, and everything will be a little bit more fleshed out art-wise and environment-wise.
Gary Babir, another one of our community members who has created maps. When we have access to the SDK, please?
When the early access launches. Yeah. So next month, the SDK will be available with the game.
Another one of our developers, Takaza, Aaron, has just posted a link in the chat. Best place for closed alpha feedback is indeed on our forums, forums.newworldinteractive.com. Just go to the subsection, you'll see Dave Infamy is there, and post it there. Someone says, shit, email is slower than wired transactions these days. It's coming. That's a line in Dave Infamy, actually. when you call for artillery, the artillery guy answers you. He says, "It's coming!" Like, hold on, I'm working on it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. When you call an artillery, you can hear the guy on the radio on your buddy's backpack, like coming through the radio, like, "Artillery, it's incoming, it's coming." And like if you call it in too soon before you can call it in again, they'll be like, "Sorry, man, like we can't send artillery."
Yeah.
It doesn't say man.
We
Like,
can't.
It's not very time specific. You
Yeah,
know?
he says like we're still loading our guns, and he's yelling, and you can hear in the background there's like shells slamming into the things, like oh god, and stuff like that. And best part, if the squad leader calls in an artillery, "I need artillery on this," and then he gets shot and killed, then you hear over the radio like, "Sorry, could you repeat that? We didn't get all that," because he's dead.
That's awesome. Yeah, and the cool thing about the radio itself is it's like this communication beacon. Like if you have a radio and you have your VoIP on, you're transmitting, and that means that if somebody else is standing next to you and they're talking on VoIP too, it will actually go through your radio to other people who have radios and people standing around them too. So you can hear like all kinds of people, like communication going on through the radio, each radio.
We really wanted to sell the teamwork aspect, the communication aspect of it through that. There's also still local chat. Like we want to be clear about that.
Yeah, but there's
too.
no like everybody has a radio like Insurgency where everybody can talk to each other. Like we're trying to be more old school with the communication in this game and also by introducing new special communication features, which the radio truly is.
Artillery is faster than the emails. For some people, yes.
Yeah, I definitely think the artillery is like one of the main selling points. Of the
Yeah.
game. Yeah. I didn't like think it would be when we implemented
No, we were just kind of like, yeah, let's try it.
but it truly like does make all the gameplay in DOI like very distinct from other shooters. I think.
Let's actually give a quick breakdown. The way artillery works is, each team has 2 squad leaders usually, right? And the squad leader is the only guy who can call an artillery. But the only way he can call an artillery is if he has a subordinate right beside him who has the radio backpack on. Because the idea, the narrative, the simulation is he's using that guy's radio to call on the artillery wherever he's looking. Then, he hears confirmation, boom, 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 and it comes down. There's like a cooldown period, and then you can call on artillery again. Now, this is all still being balanced. Like, let us know if you think it feels fair. Like, oh, there's too much artillery, turn down the artillery. Oh, there's too little artillery, turn up the artillery or something,
Yeah, one thing, we've done a lot of testing with this so far, and we've actually found that it seems pretty balanced.
Yeah, it does.
Because, like, it doesn't get used all the time.
Right.
Like, it really does take a lot of coordination to get an artillery barrage to come in, because you have to be, like, teamed up with your buddy and, like, communicating and, like follow me, like, and... Like even in Insurgency, there's nothing like that. That forces people to be together in order to accomplish something that has a big impact on the overall game.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what we found is that like it doesn't happen too much, and what does happen, it's kind of awesome. It adds to the atmosphere, and sometimes it could also be game changing. So it could it could turn the tide, especially on a mode like Frontline, for instance. If you're being pushed back, and then you have a very strategic, well placed artillery, it could be the opportunity to push back forward and regain ground.
Exactly. I was playing on Reichswald a couple days ago on offensive, and it was at the last bunker that the Germans have, and they were holding it. There were only 5 of them. And I was me and my radio guy were just crawling up that hill, that muddy German hill in the fucking Second World War, and like they held off 8 waves of us. And I stood up and I saw him, and I was like, I'm calling artillery, I'm gonna blow them all away. And bam, I nicked one in the head, and I died. And because I died, the radio guy like can't do anything. It's important. It's imperative you have 2 people to do it. And you might think like, oh, it sounds too easy. Like people just spam it. And in our testing, we didn't really notice that. So it feels pretty good as it is. But like you guys will be the judge of that.
Yeah. Man, I just realized I'm really hungry.
I'm hungry too, dude. And I just ate all my snacks. Crap. And everything closes in the Netherlands at like, oh, it's 10:40. Oh, crap.
I'm sure we can find some food.
Yeah, we'll work something out. So let's see how many keys we have now. 131 keys. Okay. All right, they're going fast. Let me see if anybody answered the tweets and the Facebooks. Ben Turtel, one of our animators, says he has week-old left pizza. Maybe you can mail that over to here? Mikey looks so different than how I remember him. Must be that beard. Well, this isn't really a beard. This is just like I didn't shave for a while. Trying it out. You know, it's Europe. When in Rome, grow facial hair. How do I add somebody as a moderator on Twitch? I think it's like this. Yes. Okay. Tiny Toast says, "Thanks, guys, for your Q&A. It was really nice to hear things from you." Thank you. You're welcome. We're grateful to get opportunities like this to talk to you guys.
It's kind of cool that we're in the same office now and we could like.
Yeah,
do this,
dude.
you know?
I can just.
We do this more often. You know?
We can
Sure.
really. Like
Yeah.
I was before, as you guys know, I was working remotely from New Jersey, and we have a good amount of team members here now, and now I could do interviews with team members like this. I could interview Gabriel, our character artist, who's on the stream last time, and say, like, Gabriel, so show me some of the character stuff you're working on. We can just chat like normal people in physical space. It's great. Eddie says, guys, check your junk folder. Yeah, it might arrive in your junk folder, but
Slouch too much.
do we slash too? Well, all right. So, Jeremy, how about that day of Infamy game and our strong backs? Yeah, actually, we should probably stretch a little bit. Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my sternum. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I went for a long bike ride this morning.
Oh, me too. Went to the center.
Went to
Okay.
IKEA.
Oh, nice. Now that I'm okay, DJ Adam Sakura, the programmer, one of our programmers, says if you're having issues receiving the email, PM him your email and he will look up your code. Click on his name, he's a moderator, and just whisper it to him. The whispering being the funk. Don't literally whisper, it won't go through. What's the key for? The key is for the Day of Infamy closed alpha. For those of you who are just joining us, my name is Michael Tsarouhas. I'm the community manager, a voice actor, and the voiceover manager for New World Interactive, and I'm here with the CEO and game director, Jeremy Blum. We just were answering a bunch of questions. If you missed it, that's okay. It's going to be on Twitch. You can play it back. And right now, we are giving away some free alpha keys, specifically for the closed alpha period. It will go away once the closed alpha is done for our new World War II shooter, Day of Infamy. I've just linked it in the chat again. Will there be more keys? Somebody asks. There's how many left? 91 left. You better hurry, dude. Who do I whisper? DJ Adam Sakura. Oh, okay.
Wonder how many people are actually playing right now.
Yeah, let's check. Whoops. There we go.
Man, my phone's blowing up with all these people.
They want
that
keys,
are
don't they?
They're not getting their keys. Sorry to you all who are not getting your keys.
Yeah, sorry for, it does appear that there's a problem with the keys. Apologize for that. Not sure what's going on, but if you,
We will do our best to make sure that you
Yeah.
get your key.
we'll do our best. Again, once you give your email out, we have your email. Like that certainly goes through. And just reach out to us and let us know. If you whisper DJ Adam Sakura in the chat, he's a moderator, he's one of our programmers, he can get you the key. I'll include a note right here. And I'm gonna start Day of Infamy. Just curious, how many people have downloaded it and are able to get in game now? Just out of curiosity, how many people already have it? Say something in the chat. How much will it cost? Day of Infamy will cost 20 USD when it launches in early access next month in July. 63 keys left. All right. Doing good, doing good. Really gotta stop slouching. I downloaded it. Nice, good. Plenty of people got it, good. What do we got here? Ooh, got a server
nice.
of 17 people already. Nice.
Playing your favorite map mode combination. Look
Yeah,
at
they're
that.
playing Bastogne Frontline, right? Yeah, Frontline.
Do you want to start
Nice.
streaming? Or do you want to get food first?
I'm pretty hungry.
Maybe we should get food and let the servers populate.
Yeah, and then we'll come back and we'll play.
Yeah. Maybe resume. Could we put the stream on pause or something? Could we just like have it go? But, no.
We could. I don't know.
You know if you want to do that?
Well,
But I think people
probably
want to
not,
see
yeah.
gameplay though.
I do think they want to see gameplay.
Could we do another? Could you start another stream?
Yeah, I'd rather
That?
just resume. Yeah, this will be the giveaway stream, and for people who didn't get a key yet, we are going to sort that out. But also for people who just want to watch the gameplay, maybe they don't have time to play, maybe they're at work or something. I don't know what time it is in your part of the world or what you're doing. But we are going to stream a little bit of gameplay once we get back. But Jeremy and I are both very hungry, so we do need to nourish ourselves in order to keep making video games. So once again, if you're having issues with getting a key, send a PM to DJ Adam Sakura. He's one of our programmers, and he can help you out. Pardon my loud keyboard. Everybody knows all the cool gamers use mechanical keyboards from Japan. Okay. I'm almost done downloading. Nice, good. All right. Let me just... Okay, is there anything else we need to say?
I think we've said a lot.
We have said a lot. All right. Well, we're gonna no more. There should be keys. There's still 50 keys, 46 keys. Hurry, they're going, and people are playing right now. Go ahead, hop in, get in the server, and hurry up and get your keys. Is it in the in-game thing? Hold on. Okay, he's editing it. Yeah, okay. All right, so food?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys, everybody, for coming out and for asking your questions. It's been really good. It's really nice that we could be transparent about this because of the studio, not just because of the studio that we are and how we want to interact with our community, you guys, but also now we can physically do it because we're here physically and we have all these different guys in our new studio. And maybe we will do more stuff like this. It would certainly be interesting. And, get your keys if you're having trouble. PM Adam, reach out to us. We'll make sure you get your key. Don't worry about it. And it's gonna be good. We're gonna come back in a little bit after we eat, and I'll stream and I'll play a bit, and it'll be a fun time. What's to say?
It's worth addressing that. So just so you all know, the menus are very work in progress. Like the key bindings is sort of broken-ish. So you might have to manually bind keys with your console. Although I think Steve might have fixed that to a certain extent.
He did say he was working on it. Steve, one of our programmers, was...
He might mention in the chat here regarding the bindings.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we're gonna flesh out this stuff a lot more. The game's very much playable, but there's like options wise and whatnot. There's still stuff that needs to be sorted before any release could happen.
Yeah. Again, it is closed alpha, so just be prepared for that. But you guys know that already.
Yeah, this is like a preview to a preview. If you think about it, because the early access is a preview for the full game, and then this is a preview for early access. So don't expect perfection, but embrace the imperfection.
I like that, and help us improve. Tell us.
This is part of the process, right?
It is. We did this with Insurgency.
Yeah. So.
Steven Swires, one of our programmers, says binding does work, but it doesn't show anything when it's in binding mode. Also, the alpha build is Windows only. That is important. We don't have Mac or Linux yet.
Yeah, Mac will come a lot sooner than Linux.
Yes, Mac will come a lot sooner than Linux.
Mac, I think, should be ready within the next couple of weeks, and it'd definitely be before the the July release.
Yeah.
Linux is, as I said earlier, going to take until later in the year probably.
Because of, correct me if I'm wrong, because of the thing with Coherent?
Yes, because of our UI middleware.
Darn, always late to the giveaway streams. No, it's all good, dude. Here, let me get you the link. There's still 21 keys. Hurry! There's a delay.
I think
so
you got the message across.
I think I got it. Just this like obnoxious wall of text.
Yeah.
All right, let's. Okay, 19. Okay.
I think everybody in here must have safely gotten a key.
Yeah.
You would think. I mean, there's like 130 people, 140 people now.
Yeah.
In here, and there's like 400 keys that have gone.
Yes. There have been a lot. Who do I whisper? Whisper. DJ Adam Sakura. Stick around in the chat. Adam's in the chat right now. We're gonna go offline and then we'll come back and we'll sort out the key thing if you are having an issue. I'm glad to see most people got it though, and so many keys have gone already. And actually, how many are left now? I just want to look. 9 keys. And yes, as Adam says, if you put your email into the chat, into the website, and it says to check your email, it has been reserved for you. So like, even if you haven't gotten your key, we have your email, so it's okay. It's just a matter of time until you get it.
Is it really? It's almost 11.
Oh yeah, it is.
Does that mean that we've been streaming for 3 hours?
2.5.
Holy shit! I did not.
Yeah, it goes quick, dude. It goes very quickly. 3 keys left. We gotta stick around. 2 keys left. I'm just hitting F5. One key. Nah, keys are gone. 500 keys in like 20 minutes, dude. Oh. Oh, rats. Buffy says, what, Jeremy Blum? You've never spent the whole day streaming while eating nachos and gaming in your underwear? Well, not streaming. I mean, obviously, you've all had an experience like, we've all had that moment. For me, it was I was playing PlanetSide 2 in college. And I was playing, eating takeout and stuff, and I just realized, wait a second, I smell. I've been playing too much PlanetSide 2. That was a moment.
That's funny. My girlfriend was in the chat.
Cute. Good. Plot twist, Mikey gives away too many keys. Everyone who's going to buy it doesn't, since they have keys. Game gets canceled. Oh no. I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, if the game sucked and you guys got keys right now and played it and then told all your friends that the game sucked and then didn't buy the game, then we'd probably not be in a good place.
That would be bad.
But the reason why we're giving out keys is because we do believe that the game does not suck.
Yes. So this is going to encourage people to buy it, right? And
that's
it's going to
what
get
we're
the
banking
game
on.
better.
That's what we're hoping for.
We're in the Netherlands, you guys. Yes, the studio's in Amsterdam. We're in Amsterdam now, and it only just got dark like an hour ago, which is why our center time is all screwed up, because it's been getting dark very late. Someone's asking for your Twitter, Jeremy.
Oh, it's J Blum Creations.
So at J Blum Creation.
I haven't tweeted in a long time. I should probably do that some more.
Yeah, go for it. Social media and all that. J Blum Creations.
Yeah.
Okay. Does DOI run on Linux? It does not right now, but it will eventually. Mac will come sooner than Linux. Mac will, we plan on having before the early access release. Linux might be sometime later. Game is pretty bad right now. You can't drive vehicles like U-boats and tanks. Oh, what a shitty game. Where's my U-boat?
That's pretty good feedback. Maybe we should like implement U-boats and tanks in the next 2 weeks. for
U-boats
early
and
access.
tanks?
U-boats and tanks.
Just throw them in.
Just throw them in there.
Just get them in there.
Make an all new map just for U-boat combat.
It's only U-boats fighting tanks.
Yes.
Just U-boats versus tanks. They're all just sitting, tanks on the shore, U-boats in the sea. They're just yelling at each other. Fine, they can't even move.
Jake makes a good point. Where can we get something to eat at 11 o'clock in Amsterdam besides McDonald's or the gas station?
Yeah, we're going to go figure that out. That's what I was saying
I think
before.
Febo, which is like the equivalent of Dutch McDonald's.
Dude, that's I was talking to James and Gabriel, two other developers, about that. It's like Fallout in the Febo. You go up to a wall. It's a wall of food, and
Or
you
you
put
could
in
get
a
it like
coin.
that. Or you could actually order it like McDonald's or something.
Oh, and that's available until 4?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll go learn that. Why can't the U-boats be on the land and the tanks be in the sea? Yeah, let's break new ground. Let's try something different. This is independent game development. Let's experiment. Okay. I think we're good. How's artillery? We'll explain all this later. We just got to get some food, and then I'll come back and I'll go live and we'll play and stream for a little bit. Who do I need to whisper here? Me. Wait, so flying U-boats and sea tanks? Yeah, the U-boats will fly, but they can land and deploy on the ground. And you can throw back grenades.
Sounds like a Wolfenstein game.
It does sound like a Wolfenstein game.
Oh, yeah.
I love
you can
those
throw
games.
back
Dude.
grenades. I forgot about that feature.
Yeah, as Mike Smith points out in the chat, one of our other team members, you can throw back in grenades just like in Day of Defeat, and there is voiceover planned for that, which will be pretty good.
That'll probably be fun for you to do.
That would be very fun for me to do.
They're encouraging us to go eat our food already.
Yeah, let's go get food.
Yeah.
I'm all good. I'm all about
right.
food. We're out of keys now, guys. PM Adam Sakura. If you are having issues with it, if you are, don't worry. We have all your emails on file. Even if you didn't get a key, you are written down in our archives, whatever. But anyway, thank you everybody for coming out and for all your questions. Truly, it's really nice. Maybe we'll do some more stuff like this. It's nice we have that ability to. And if you missed any questions, just watch the broadcast again. But we will see you all later when we get back. Thank you, Jeremy, for joining me on this stream today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Take care.